Hey, what is going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and thank you for joining another episode of Mario's Minute here. This is Mario's Minute, episode 15. In case you do not know, this is a monthly podcast I do. This typically comes out near the end of every month. I've been doing this for 15 months straight now at this point. And in case you do not know about this at all, I can fill you in a little bit. This is a podcast where I generally just talk about really whatever the hell I want to. I like to have, kind of a personal type thing on here. Really, the way I sell this is I used to do gameplay commentaries where I'd take some gameplay, record it, and then talk about, life, topics, stories, what have you, and put them up on my YouTube channel. And those were pretty much, 10, 15-minute type podcast things. So what is a podcast? Just a longer version of that without the gameplay. Anyways, this is my way of, connecting to you all personally, sharing some anecdotes, all that stuff. It might be modding related, it might not be. Sometimes I talk about that, sometimes it's not all related to games, and sometimes we have guests. I'm trying to do a guest every other month on here. Last month, of course, we did not have one, but at the beginning of the year, we had Modern Vintage Gamer on here, which that was a really fun episode to do. So, of course, this is a podcast as well. If you are interested in the medium's checking it out. There is a video of it available where if you want to comment about it, that's the best place to do it on my YouTube channel, Mr. Mario 2011. Although the video doesn't really have that much to it, it's just a cool audio visualizer that you can have on screen. However, this is available at most places you can listen to podcasts at. Just fire up your favorite podcast search engine or application and look for Mario's Minute, and it's available there. So, for example, if you're checking this out on YouTube and you want the MP3 to go, I'm a podcast listener. I really like having the audio stuff, so I don't blame you, but that's what it's all there for. You can check it out, subscribe on your, hopefully, favorite podcasting platform. Anyways, again, this is an every other month episode, which means that we have a guest on. Been doing well so far, and we have a bit of a special guest. I'm actually really excited to bring this guy on. I've been wanting him on here for a while, and he has not been a stranger to the channel in many different ways. So we're gonna be doing some groundbreaking stuff here, but I guess I gotta ask. All right, as I always ask my guests, who the hell are you?
I am I guess you probably know me as Squid, Tan Squid. I don't know. I've been on like a couple older videos.
You have been, but you've been under an artist name, I guess we can say.
And yeah, also been making a bunch of music you've probably heard on the channel under the alias Pyama. And that is also me.
It is worldwide reveal right here. The first time we're listening to Pyama, but. But you've been on here for a while. I know. So I'm just gonna use your real name, Tanner. Is that all good?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
No, you're doxing me, man.
No, so Tanner and I go way back on here, and I know I invited you on this. I've been wanting to have you on for a while, but I invited you on about a week ago, and you were all for it. And I kind of spun this up. Like, it was a few days ago. I ran it by you, and I said, you know what? It's been a long time since you've been on the channel, and you've been on the channel as Tan Squid, and I know on Twitter you're Pajama Peter, but I was thinking, I was like, at this point, people would know you as Pyama, as the guy who does the music, not explicitly for the channel, but I use your music a ton on here, and I just asked, I was like, do you want to come on as your artist name, and then we can reveal the rest, and you said you were down for it.
Yeah, when you first asked me, like, a day after, I kind of started thinking, I was like, I've been making music long enough that it's, like, not totally bad, so I could be like, yeah, I'll put my actual name behind it now. It's probably about time. And, I mean, it's like I was thinking about how to do it, and I was like, well, it's not really something I would tweet about. It's not really on brand for me, because on brand is just never saying anything.
I got you.
But, like, I don't know, it just seemed like it makes sense.
Yeah. No, and we're here now. But at that point, I mean, really, we're just going to be talking, friend to friend at this point. And it's like, so, Tanner, I guess before we get into anything else, what exactly do you do on the internet?
I guess music is, like, the thing I make the most just because it's super easy to do myself. So that's probably, like, what I've been doing the most of, honestly. But, I got a anime YouTube channel. We make it a bridge series. Just that doesn't come out very often, like ever. Last one was like 5 months ago, so.
That's a K Abridged, right?
Yeah, we did just record for episode 4 though, so.
Right on.
That should be up in a few months. I don't know. It'll be a bit, but.
All right. I do need to see that. That's on the Zoltan Squid channel, which I lended some lines on the first episode, I believe. It's funny. I remember because when you had me do that, it was fun to participate. But I don't think I told you this. The first time I watched it, I saw it with my girlfriend, and it caught me off guard when I heard my own voice because it had been so long from when I submitted to the lines to when I watched it that I forgot that I participated.
Yeah, that was a while ago. You just kind of like pop up in the middle. It's like, oh yeah, there's Danny.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. The funny thing is too, it seems to be kind of a overall consensus. I've never seen K, but everyone seems to say that the Abridged series is better than the actual anime.
See, I mean, I think a lot of people say that, but I think a lot of those people might be like just kids who think Abridged series are awesome. But that first episode makes me cringe a little bit on the inside at parts. I'm just like, oh, why did I fix that?
I think as a creator though, like if you're conscious of that stuff, that's what you're going to do, because there's some people who they'll pick like some of my older videos and say, oh, these were really good, these were great, and I'm like, no man, they really weren't. And it's just it's an ever evolving thing, which I understand that. But no, even so, like my girlfriend, for example, who she's not a kid, she's an adult, and she's got, good taste in most things, I would say. She saw K Abridged with me. She enjoyed all the episodes that she saw of it. And I believe at one point she tried watching the actual anime, and she just kind of stopped 1 or 2 episodes in. She's like, yeah, nah, the Abridged was better, man.
I mean, the show itself is like super confusing, and like I remember the first time I watched it, it just didn't make any sense. So I was like, I gotta watch this again, because like what the fuck happened? It's like so confusing and just like oddly directed. So I was like, well, just make it a clusterfuck and at least add jokes.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I know when I was in college, that was like, I guess like with Abridged series and all that, the first time I'd heard of Annie was, of course, DBZ Abridged. And I knew of people who were watching it in high school, and it was, just kind of a kiddie thing. Haha, it's funny. But then the first time I really paid attention to it was in college, where I was in a computer lab, and there were some dudes who were unironically watching it, like, as, kind of background noise, or kind of to pay attention to, kind of eat dinner to between coding sessions and all that stuff. And it was really funny to listen to. And it's like, oh, I see why people like this. It's just a funnier and more efficient way of getting the story.
Yeah, well, DBZ Abridged, that's like the ultimate like pinnacle of just like condensing the show down and also making it way funnier.
Right.
It's like that's the heights that most people aspire to, but like no one really ever achieves.
Right. I know there's been some others, like I think wasn't there Hellsing Abridged, which that's done once a year. It's done like October 31st of every year, and then
well, that's Team 4-Star, and they actually basically are done doing abridging now, because they directed like an actual movie dub for some movie called Hells or something.
About time. I mean, like, and not even any insult to the Abridged stuff. It's just, I'm sure that they got to a point where they said, you know what, we could make our own thing, or we can just do, in this case, do our own dub. We don't have to rely on doing Abridged stuff constantly.
Yeah, exactly. And like I gotta check the movie out, because there's like a bunch of prominent people in like Abridged series that are in this actual fucking movie. So it's like, oh, it's actually kind of cool to hear these people do actual work instead of just a bunch of jokes on the internet.
That's awesome. I know what was going on with the Abridged stuff. So I don't follow Team 4-Star at all. I've just seen, the odd few videos here and there. And I don't think it's happened for a while, but I know for a while it was like a yearly tradition where their YouTube channel would just get completely terminated and go down. And then they would have to, because it went down for copyright reasons or whatever, and they'd have to appeal it and be like, no, the copyright holders have told us, and we have it in writing, that they're okay with this, and this is legally okay to do under parody law. Please release the channel. And then they do. But it was just, I know for a while it was a yearly thing where it's like at least once a year the channel would get terminated and then come back.
Yeah, I don't think that's happened in quite a while. Like maybe 2017. I don't know if it happened in 2018. I don't remember that, but it definitely was like almost yearly of just like, oh yeah, your channel's gone manual, or it's like automatic copyright claims for just like Toei animation stuff, and it's like, well, come on, we've talked to these guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that happens to like tons of stuff. They tried to do an Attack on Titan abridged.
I was gonna bring that up actually. Yeah, what do you know of that?
Just the first episode. It's still available on like other channels, but Team 4-Star got sent like a cease and desist from whoever the animation studio is, or like production committee or something, and they were like, you need to take this down, like, or we will sue the shit out of you. Because it was still when Attack on Titan was like super super hot, so it kind of makes sense. It's like they'd be pretty aggressive about it. They don't want people. I think it's because a lot of people were like linking at places and saying, oh, watch this instead of the actual show.
I do remember that happening, and yeah, I remember that they only made one episode of it, and people were really excited because, yeah, at the time, Attack on Titan was the new hotness, and it's like, oh shit, there's going to be an abridged version of this is even better. And then I do remember they kind of, like, they as in Team 4-Star were like, hey, this is the one and only episode we're doing because we can't do it. So they did it. So I didn't know about that. They did receive a cease and desist, while as for the other companies that handle Dragon Ball Z and such, they're just like, hey, it's totally cool if you do that. It's parody law. It's all good. Just don't make money off of it directly, please. So I know that they, to my understanding, they made their money off Patreon because they couldn't put ads on the videos on YouTube.
Yeah, and they have like a gaming channel to kind of supplement income as well.
Okay.
And it's like, it makes sense. And it's, most companies actually like don't even do they don't go through the effort of cease and desist. Like at most they'll manually strike your videos, which happened to like the first episode of K Abridged.
I remember that.
Ripped apart by King Records. I don't even know. I guess they own the rights to K, but they're like a music studio. But yeah, that was super annoying. They just kept like striking it. But after the first one and after like disputing it, I guess they're like, okay.
Yeah, I do remember talking to you about that because I remember like you uploaded it and it got the strike, and then you tried uploading it again, and because it was the same video, it wasn't another strike. It was just it got blocked instantly. And then you tried doing like all these different changes, and it kept getting claimed or struck here and there. So I think like in the end, you just got frustrated and disputed it, and you won the dispute, thankfully. Congratulations on that. But yeah, that's one thing I was actually going to check on. So since then, there hasn't been any other strikes against it, right, in the other episodes?
No, I think even in the only thing I think in the first one, there's like what do you call it? They've got like some matched music and so like
it's
stuff in
so it's
there.
a content ID match, or a content ID claim, but it's not a strike.
And it's like, oh, they'll claim the ad revenue from this video, but the video can't make ad revenue, so it doesn't affect anything at all.
Right. You're just in a situation where you just want the video to be up and publicly viewable.
Yeah, and I mean, like, yeah, I don't think episode 2 and episode 3, there's no, like, strikes. It's not blocked anywhere as far as I know.
Okay.
Like, they're both clean. So
I never,
ever since that one, it's been A-okay.
I never remember either of those going down, and I know that the way YouTube works is like with that video, for example, King Records could have either denied the strike, or they could have taken you to court. Thankfully they didn't, or they could have just ignored it and it would have fallen off. But the thing is, if they deny it or if they ignore it, then they can't strike the video down again. So they can't strike the first episode down. They could strike down the other episodes, but the fact that they haven't, to me, shows that at this point they just realize, you know what, hey, it's going to stay up. We don't care at this point.
Also, I think the first one got struck because it contains like a solid, unbroken, like 30 seconds of footage, whereas the other ones are they're way more chopped up.
Gotcha.
So I don't think I haven't included like any big stretches of animation since then, but there's like a couple scenes where I use like basically just like 30 seconds straight of the show.
No, I get that.
So
I get that.
That'll get you.
It will. Just a bit. Oh, man.
But yeah, it's like super frustrating, but at the same time I was like really bummed because I remember the video got like 1,000 views and then went down, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, that shit. I mean, it's doing. Let me even double check it right now. But last time I checked, sure. I know every time I look, I'm like, damn, I'm impressed with this.
Yeah, I think the first episode's at like 150K or something.
Something
which
like
is
that.
kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, episode 1's 155K, episode 2's 33K, episode 3 is 4.8K. And honestly, I mean, well, here's the thing. For an episode, like for a series that you all are doing here and there on a channel that you really don't promote, that's really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I've looked at a bunch of other channels and people who do, like, they just are more consistent with uploads, and like even some of those channels don't, like, their first episode doesn't break 100,000. I'm like, well, Jesus, I really picked a decent show to do this for, because like no one else has successfully abridged the show. So
yeah,
I was like, well, might as well do something no one else has done instead of like be like the 27th Attack on Titan abridged or something.
Right. I even looked, and it looks like someone was because I'm just looking up K Abridged on YouTube right now, and oh no, I was gonna say someone was trying to steal your swag. I was like, no, K Abridged episode 1 randomness from 6 years ago, and there was another from 7 years ago. So you weren't the first ones here, but you're probably the best ones.
That randomness one, I actually watched that before we uploaded our first episode, and like the description is like, I tried to abridge this show, it didn't really work, these are the only clips I had, I'm not gonna make any more.
Yeah, I think looking at the description here, this is my abridged of K. Unfortunately, this anime's awesome graphics and constant movement make it hard to edit. However, in a measly 6 hours, I made this concoction.
Yeah, no, he's not wrong. The animation is like, it looks really cool at a lot of spots, but it's just like, it makes you want to tear your hair out if you got to like go in there frame by frame and do stuff.
I totally understand.
Not optimal, but I think I'm actually gonna get some help editing the next one. I don't think I'm gonna do it by myself, so
right on.
At the very least, I'll get someone to do the sound. So that kills me. I'm like the worst at audio editing.
And to me, it's
surprisingly.
And to me, it sounded pretty nice.
Like the third episode, I actually balanced it a lot better. The second one is all over the map. Mm-hmm. It's not like unlistenable, but it's pretty not great. But it's just, it's weird. Like, I can make songs, but when it comes to trying to edit audio in Premiere, I'm just like, I don't get it.
Sometimes I don't want to say it's hard. Sometimes it's annoying to deal with.
It's a very tedious process, and after you go through and do all like the little mouth flap movements, it's like, dude, come on.
Mm-hmm. I had to do that, so not like the mouth flap thing, but like my girlfriend and I had worked on a video together that she was doing for a class, and she just talks quieter than me naturally. So I had to go in, and it was funny because when we were recording it, she's like, damn it, we have to re-record this whole thing. And I asked why. She's like, because you can barely hear me. I'm like, oh, no, this is going to cause me like another 10 minutes of work, but I can fix this. So I had to go in and amplify the audio on everything and cut out, the background noise. And then specifically every time she spoke, I had to bump up the decibels a certain amount.
Oh, and then because I imagine you only use the one mic, so you'd have to like go back
exactly.
and forth.
And thankfully we didn't have any sections where we were talking over each other, so it made it a lot easier, where I was just like, okay, here's my part, here's her part, here's my part, here's her part.
No, that's optimal.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't just like a total clusterfuck of just like yelling over each other.
Exactly. No longer having to do the thing where it's like, for example, we talk over Skype and you don't want to record it in stereo because one person's on the left channel, one person's on the right channel, so you just make it all lazy and you hit mono and record that way and just pray to whatever deity you believe in that the audio is going to magically sync up, but it's not really going to be super well balanced because it's fucking Skype.
Oh man, Skype, that's just, it's a nightmare, man.
Oh, I'm one of those people, I refuse to talk on Skype now at this point. The other day, it automatically downloaded and updated on my desktop, and I was like, no, what the fuck are you doing? And I immediately ripped it out. So even like if a friend of mine online wants to catch up or something, I'm like, hey, I will like, if you got Discord, awesome. If you have another service that we can use, that's fine. I can download it, just as long as it's not Skype.
I mean, I think Google Hangouts is pretty ubiquitous, or don't they have something else now for video calling?
I mean, Hangouts is Hangouts, though, is the problem. Who the fuck uses Hangouts?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Some people do.
For calling, I think there was, well, for audio calling, I want to say there was Allo, Google Allo, and I think there was another one.
They've got one called Duo.
Duo, that's it. And I think those are deprecated. I think Google has said they're phasing those out.
That's really good. I'm glad they put down my phone by default.
Yeah, I know.
I saw it there, but I was like, I'm never gonna use this.
Yeah, and it had good implementation too. Like even so, we're all starting on like certain versions of Android OS. They pretty much stealth installed Allo and Duo on there. So if you message someone through it, like if I messaged you through it, like sent you a text message, you'd get a pop up through Allo in this case, and it'd be like, hey, Danny has Allo, you can reply to him on here, do you want to download the app? So you could just download the app in like 5 seconds, and then bam, we're talking on there. Yeah,
That's not so bad, but it's like I feel like Google just like pretty much just tries to get their hand in every, or their finger in every pie, and it's like, it didn't work out, but we've made some technology, I guess.
yeah.
We'd probably sell this to someone.
Yeah, and this is actually one thing. I had this on the list, and I guess I can get to this a lot earlier than I expected. But speaking of Google technology and throwing their hat into things, did you see Stadia at all?
Stadia? No. What is Stadia?
Oh, you just woke up a few hours ago. All right. So I think you probably missed this. So earlier today, right now I'm recording this episode early-ish compared to when it releases, but I'm recording it on March 19th. So just a heads up, if there's any other details if there's details that we get wrong or we don't know here and they're confirmed in like a few days, that's why. We just don't know them yet. But Stadia right now is Google's attempt. I want to say that it's their attempt at doing cloud gaming, and it looks real cool. Like I'm one of the few people where I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty dope. And it's supposed to be where I don't know how the service exactly is, like what the payment system is, but let's say, you pay for it, you have Stadia all set up. You should be able to, you can use their own controller or you can bring your own controller. It's supposed to work on your own devices and you're just displaying on whatever display you're using. So technically at that point, as long as you have the internet connection and you have Stadia available, you're able to play in 720p, 1080p, 4K, even 8K, because their infrastructure has been designed to scale with all that, is what they're really trying to push. And you can play games on your, like for example, on your desktop, then you can move over to your Chromebook, then you can move over to your Chromecast, and you can move over to your Pixel 3 or whatever other Android device you're using. So here's the thing, if it works the way it does, it looks really cool, but I don't know how well it's going to work in the real world.
Yeah, like actually, when I woke up, I did see some people tweeting about Google and gaming stuff, and I was like, oh, I guess Google's getting into gaming, but I didn't see any specifics about it. So that makes a lot of sense now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, because I'm thinking like I have pretty good internet, and even streaming like just Steam games to my laptop is like there's a noticeable like delay. So it's like I can play turn-based RPGs and shit like that, but anything outside of that, anything that requires actual precise timing, it's like, well, that's a no-go.
Well, and that's how it's been for me, actually. So even disregarding any type of digital aspect of it, because I myself, you already know, and I'm sure people listening know, I'm a physical collector. I like physical games. I like to pick up physical stuff when I can, for the most part, on my consoles especially. But when it comes down to that, like, for example, what I've been doing recently is this has been really nice. So I don't think I told you about this, but I decided to, like Switch has been my primary platform to play on recently, right?
Yeah.
So I play my Switch like on breaks at work and stuff whenever I have the time. And I'd like to do that with the PS4 as well, because there's a few games I'm playing on PS4. And there's a PS4 Remote Play app. So I said, you know what, I'm going to try this out, just see how good this is. And so I was able to, you can download Remote Play for PC. So I actually have it on my work system, and I tested it out at one point. I connected it to my PS4. I had everything working. So like at work, if I'm on a break or something, I have a PS4 controller that stays there. It's just wired. I fire up the PS4 Remote Play application. Takes a minute or two to find my PS4, turn it on. I get in game. And at that point, I'm playing at 60 frames per second settings and then 720p. That's the way I'm streaming it. And it's coming from my PS4 Pro at home. I own the disc, I own the hardware, and my connection is good. I have a gigabit internet connection. And then from there, I'm going to, across the internet to my work connection, which is still good as well, too. And it works well enough, but I will say, it's good to play, in a pinch here and there, and it's good enough. But it's certainly kind of what you said. Like right now, I'm playing Kingdom Hearts, and thankfully I don't play it on like proud mode or super high difficulty, because it's mainly, there's a lot of things where there's a little bit of input lag. There's occasionally times where literally everything on the screen, all the textures turn black. So then I have to like exit out to the PS4's menu to refresh it and then go back in. So there's just little issues like that happen. And then especially the camera, I've noticed the camera, for whatever reason, is the thing that displays, like if I rotate the camera, it has the most noticeable input delay on there. And it's almost a little disorienting because you have kind of a desync between your brain telling your thumb to move the camera and then the action actually displaying on your screen. So with that, for single player games, ones that are, lower in difficulty, or for games that don't require precise timing, it's good enough, and it's even pretty good, I would say, at points, as long as you don't mind the image quality sacrifice. However, for multiplayer games, or for games that do require precise timing, like such as years ago, I played a bit of Until Dawn through remote play, and just games like that, the timing is just off enough where you can goof up here and there. And for those instances, I don't recommend it, and that's what I'm worried about with Google's project.
Yeah, that's like a pretty tough hurdle to overcome, because like what do you even do unless, I mean, maybe in a place where there's just Google Fiber everywhere, it might be easier, but like the internet is just so spotty across the United States, or whatever. It's like, how do you how do you make that like work for most people, even without crazy delay?
Right.
Also, you're saying you remote play your PS4, and you've got like is that what, on your Vita, on your what?
No, on my PC. So even you yourself. What? Yeah, dude.
I was gonna say, so I could like do that on my laptop at work?
Yes, yeah, dude. I'm so happy I'm opening you up to this. Yeah, on your laptop, you could download PS4 Remote Play, you install it, and then you follow the instructions to sync it up to your PS4. And the only key is you cannot turn off your PS4. Like your PS4 has to at least be in rest mode. But essentially, when you go to work, you can just hook up your PS4 controller, you fire up the application, and then when you start it, it will start searching for your PS4. If it finds your PS4, it turns it on, and then it connects you to it.
That's actually sick. I was like, you were saying that. I was like, that sounds perfect for. I've been like slowly replaying Persona 5. And I'm like, that sounds perfect for the New Game Plus run. Just like chill out at work when I've got some downtime.
Exactly. Yeah, and
plus it's all turn based, so I don't have to think fast.
And see, I even thought of that as well too. I'm like, well, shit. Like by the time I'm kind of done with my Kingdom Hearts playing, or I get burned out on it or whatever, if Persona 5 isn't on Switch, I might just play through it on PS4 and do it that way. Because even for me, there's a lot of times I just don't play games when I'm at home, or I'm not playing a specific PS4 game. So like, personally, for me, what I like to do, what's been really relaxing when I get home, my game playing time, I'm playing something on my Switch while laying on my couch while a TV show is playing on the TV. So that's why I like kind of having like the two things going and multitasking with that. But no, when it comes down to that, at least, like if it was Persona 5 in this instance, I wouldn't mind playing that in, the 30-minute, 20-minute chunks I have. That's how I've beat several longer RPGs, like Breath of the Wild, for example. I wasn't playing that for hours on end. I was playing that, 20, 30 minutes here, 30 to 45 minutes there, just doing bits at a time. And, I think I finished the game within 30 or 40 hours, but, play 30-minute chunks enough times and you eventually finish the game.
Yeah, see, with like RPGs and stuff, I kind of go the opposite way, where I've just been like, anytime I sit down to play a game like that, I'll just sit down for like 8 hours straight and just go wild and get as far as I can. But
in my opinion, that's the proper way to play an RPG. I'm doing it the heathenistic way.
Well, you're doing it like the responsible adult way, where you're not actually letting it, interfere with your life. Whereas, like, if I get too sucked into an RPG, I end up like, I could probably just get away with sleeping for 5 hours tonight. And it's like, well, maybe I shouldn't do that. But, I got a pretty solid backlog of RPGs I still got to beat. So
Nah, I understand that.
Those games are just, they're so long.
But they're
Even
good.
the good ones, it's like, ugh. Like I got this one, Legend of the Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel or whatever, and I beat the first one. And it's like 60 hours, and I played it for like 2 weeks straight, every day after work, pretty much.
Nice.
I'd just come home and play as much as I could, and it's like I just got super sucked in. I was like, this is the sickest thing ever, because all like the graphics. It's a PSP game that was ported to Steam, so it looks like not the greatest graphics, but the music is just like so good. I actually went and bought the soundtrack to this shit because I was like, oh, it's like ultra banger after ultra banger.
That's awesome.
And it's like I got the second one, and I put a little bit of time into it, and it's like I got to like, the first little spot to just like chill, and I was like, I haven't played in like a month because I'm just like, it's just so long. Like the first one took me like 60 hours, so the second one will probably be even longer.
I mean, hey, 60 hours at that point, if you're paying like full price for the game, for example, which I'm assuming you're not, but I mean, that's $1 per hour. That's a good deal at that point.
Yeah, I think the game was only like $30 maybe.
Yeah, so 50 cents an hour.
Because it's an older PSP game, so.
Right. And then, I mean, you're in Canada as well, too, so shit, convert that to US dollars, that's like, what, like $6?
Yeah, I was going to say it's like 50 cents. It's like half a food stamp.
Oh man. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's what I've been doing, at least with it. But like so far, I guess I've kind of, my initial impression so far, again, if Stadia works as well as it does, that would be awesome. I doubt it's going to run as well as it does. I'm also extremely worried that Google is going to do a Google on this, as in they're going to put a bunch of money into this. They're going to really support it, and after about a year or two, they're going to put it on a skeleton crew, and they're going to stop doing, short-term updates and such for it, and kind of just do security patches if needed, and then they'll kind of just send it out to the pasture and shoot it in the head. That's what I'm worried about on top of that, because you're not going to, I doubt that there's going to be games that you can buy on there. They're probably going to do more of a subscription type service. But then even if you do buy games, the issue that we deal with right now with games being delisted or removed from marketplaces due to certain copyright things or licenses not working, or even like Deltarune, for example, the prequel demo to Undertale on Switch, that was taken off the North American shop for a few days because of some issues with the ESRB. Like, shit like that is still happening in 2019 to games that are coming out in 2019. That's going to get even worse at that point, because I have a feeling, even a hypothetical, if you buy a game through their service, they might do the thing where they say, oh, we have to remove some stuff, or hey, we can't sell this game anymore because of licensing, but we're not going to relinquish it from you. But just wait, for maybe 2 or 3 years down the road. You fire up your account, you try and load that game, and every time you load it up, you get an error. Because even though you own the game and it's in your library, Google obliterated it from their servers.
Well, that's like the thing with digital stuff that everyone always is kind of like worried about, where it's like, you can buy all this stuff on a digital work or like a digital, marketplace or whatever, but what happens when that marketplace just disappears, with all your shit?
It's gone. It's gone,
like,
man.
If Steam just stopped operating tomorrow and shut all their servers down, like everyone's games are just locked, like they're just locked out of them.
Yep.
I mean, aside from the ones that they have installed, I'd assume.
Yeah, and I know some people with Steam, they've stated, they're just like, look, in the terms of service, it says that even if Steam goes down, you should still be able to get your games. And I'm like, no, I don't believe that. Yes, it's in their terms of service, but if Steam 100% goes down and never comes back, how are you going to get your games? How is that possible? They can say it in the terms of service, but if the service is gone completely, it's not possible. Like, what, you're going to, sure, there might be like a class action lawsuit open up against them, and then they'll have to pay, and then you can get a settlement fee. But if the service is gone, you're not getting your games back, even if it said you're getting them in that description.
What do you mean? I thought Gay Ben would set up a personal server and send every individual Steam user a mega link with all their games.
They don't even bother doing like the DRM free versions, they just include the cracks in there as well, too.
That'd be godlike.
Yeah, I think for Rainbow Six Vegas or Rainbow Six Vegas 2, that's what they did, where Ubisoft sold the game physically and digitally, and the digital version still required the disc, so one of the patches they put out was just a no CD crack exe.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, like it was just someone who said, we need to get the digital version up and running, here's a patch for it, and the patch was just a crack. Like, it worked.
Yeah, but it's a legal crack.
Yeah,
so it's a patch.
From what I understand, though, Ubisoft found out about it. They quickly redacted and took that crack away, and then they issued a proper patch. But yeah, at one point they said, you know what? We're just going to put a crack out for our game.
They basically probably just took it and re-released crack.exe as official Ubisoft DRM tool. .exe. Just rename the file.
They might have done that. I don't know. I don't know.
Because I mean, why would you? I mean, it just seems like a waste of effort if it already works, right?
Exactly. Like, but at that point, then it's like, well, wait a minute. Did we kind of just like steal this exe that was stolen from us? And like, okay, you know what? Let's just do this the clean way, guys. Let's make sure legal doesn't get any whiffs of this.
Yeah, I guess they're probably just covering their own tracks.
Of course.
But yeah, like,
yeah.
Honestly, with like Google trying to get into this, it's like I'm just worried about Google trying to get in on shit. It's like I don't like it. They just like form monopolies, and then just like everything else around that just gets sucked up. Like anything video, it's like if it's not YouTube, it's shit.
Well,
basically,
there's a lot of terrifying stuff about that too, where I've heard so many people discuss, and it's valid discussion, but talking about, you know, for how many decades the internet was designed and created to be a decentralized network, so you don't have to rely on certain things, and it's supposed to be free and open. And then what have we gotten in the past 10-15 years? All these big companies have centralized the internet, which was not supposed to be the original idea of it.
Yeah, and it's like you go to any like website that isn't one of these major websites to do anything, like any like there's a couple live streaming websites. There was one, stream.me.
Yeah, and StreamMe is like gone.
Totally yeeted off the internet. That's it was just like this seedy underbelly streaming website where it's just like all these people who just weren't allowed on YouTube or Twitch, or just didn't want to be there because they were too out there already, so it's like not even worth the trouble. But it's like the community there was awesome, but the website itself, it's just like the streaming capabilities, it's so much worse than YouTube or Twitch. Like you don't get crazy stutters on Twitch if you have good internet.
That's true.
Or if you just lower the quality. But even on StreamMe, if you put the quality down to like 480p, and I have like solid internet, it's like 300 both ways, which isn't bad.
Oh, not bad at all. That's good. Damn.
Yeah, and it's like you put it on like 480, and it just like still every 20, maybe 30 seconds, it just kind of stutter for a second.
Yeah,
and it's like,
I mean, even on this, you know, the Google, the Stadia stream, I watched most of it, but there was even hiccups on that stream, and it did make me feel good though, because tomorrow, at least while I'm recording this, tomorrow I'm going to be doing mod chat, and I hate it when I have hiccups with the stream. So I'm constantly testing things, and I just feel bad when something on stream goes wrong. But, you know, I kind of said this on Twitter. I said, you know what? If Google is having a giant developers conference and they're doing a live stream of it on their own website that they own, YouTube, and they're running into issues, and they are Google, and they have leagues of people and teams working on this, if they're having issues with their live stream, I'm not even going to worry about my hiccups anymore. Like, yeah, if a hiccup happens, I'm going to try and fix it, but I'm not going to take it personally anymore. Like, if someone criticizes me, it's like, hey, you know what? I'm one dude who's doing this live stream. Guess what? Fucking Google couldn't do a live stream perfectly on their own site. So, if you want, I'm going to hold myself to the same standard that Google's holding themselves right now.
You don't understand. The OBS version they had was incompatible with their updated Windows edition.
Dude, at like 2 points, it looked like there was VHS filters that were put on. It was great. Like, no, I'm talking like tracking was fucked up. Like there were just lines going everywhere. It looked like somebody took like 10 or 20 seconds of, you know, certain sections and applied a VHS filter on them.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like like an issue with like maybe their cameras or something.
Most likely, yeah. I mean, again, it only happened twice, but it made me laugh, and I was like, you know what? If Google's messing up on their own site for this big announcement, I'm not gonna feel bad anymore whenever my hiccups happen.
Would be really funny is if like the stream started stuttering and like dropping quality, just getting all pixelated.
Oh my goodness, that'd be bad.
It's like can't even cobble together a live stream for our own
It's
company.
like, why didn't you all buy Twitch? Why did you let Amazon do this? Or wait, well, Google also sometimes they either make or break stuff as well too. So
yeah,
maybe it's
I mean,
good that
it's
they
like,
have that competition.
We just didn't allot the right amount of server space.
Yep.
We only gave ourselves one server.
Can't be doing that, man. They don't have their load balancing set up properly at times, I guess.
Well, aren't basically all the internet servers you can buy owned by like Amazon and Google pretty much?
I was going to say, that's another thing too. Yeah, Amazon Web Services, they are awesome. And in fact, they are so awesome that they own a bulk of internet traffic because so many websites are hosted under AWS and so many enterprises have services on AWS. So like Netflix, for example, it's been a few years since I've researched this, mind you, but unless anything has changed, Netflix runs on AWS. And that's why, for example, when Amazon services go down, like a third of the internet goes down.
Yeah, because like anything big runs on like not anything like super super big probably has its own infrastructure, but like anything.
I mean, Amazon has its own infrastructure.
Yeah, it's like anything kind of just like in between major corporation and just like some dude. It's like most people are gonna be on Amazon Web Services whether they know it or not.
Right. They're going to somehow
like,
do that.
If I ever needed to make a website, I'd probably just get some like shady Russian website provider, be like, hook it up with a bit of server space over there.
Oh, you're not gonna do that? What is it that I don't know the website that like the website building service that everybody seems to advertise here on YouTube. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Squarespace.
Squarespace, that's it. I was trying to.
And speaking of which, Mario's Minute sponsor.
We're not sponsored. We have no sponsors on this show right now. But if you're interested in sponsoring, please hit me up. business@mrmario.net. Anyways. Hey man, I don't have any sponsors on my podcast, but that doesn't mean I'm not open to sponsorships.
No, you gotta. I understand the hustle. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Exactly, but I do have to just put the disclaimer out there: no sponsorships, or like that. I'm not sponsored by them.
No sponsorships yet.
Exactly. Oh man, yeah, no, but I think one thing that the last thing I looked into with that before. Have you ever heard of Netflix's Evil Monkey?
That sounds familiar, but I'm not 100% on what that is.
I might have told you about it, but essentially years ago they ended up coding their own friendly virus called the Evil Monkey, and they just let it go in their production environment. So it's running, unless anything's changed, it's running right now because it was designed to just be unleashed in that environment and randomly break things, and there's no way to tear it out and there's no way to shut it off. So the reason why they do it, they want things broken on purpose, so that way they don't just have, their triage team sitting on the side doing nothing. Their triage team that way is always fixing up something, and they're always on the lookout, so that way their skills are sharpened, they know what to do. And because of that, the Evil Monkey is actually the reason why Netflix, aside from when Amazon fucks up, Netflix has pretty much 100% uptime because they are so well skilled. They have so many backups and they're so prepared that they're just constantly fixing things on that. So when something actually breaks, it might or might not be Evil Monkey. They don't know, but they're at least prepared for it, and it should be fresh in their minds how to fix it.
Yeah, like now that you've said that, I'm trying to think of a time when Netflix has been down, and I honestly can't remember because like if that happened, you'd see a bunch of people tweeting about it for sure.
Exactly.
And like, people be making all their jokes, so that'd be going around, and it's like I don't think I've ever seen that happen, like ever.
Yeah, and that's what and I'm sure people can look up and say, hey, well, the last time Netflix went down was 2 months ago or something, but at least for me, just a casual Netflix user, the only time I remember Netflix actually going down was because of Amazon, not because of Netflix. So you can thank the Evil Monkey for their amazing uptime.
And yeah, I imagine most of the times, like, if service goes down, it might even just be like in certain areas.
Yes, because they have to have backups and on backups, and of course everything's load balanced and all that fun stuff as well too. So if something does go down, it's not going to, for example, just pull the plug on Netflix 100%. There's a lot of layers that they have to get to before that happens. Like, for example, if Amazon Web Services just completely went down, that would knock out Netflix, but the evil monkey can't completely knock out Amazon Web Services.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was also thinking like Netflix operates like internationally, like they're in pretty much everywhere. So I imagine overseas maybe their servers aren't quite as rock steady.
Possibly.
Or at least their uptime might not be quite a hundo.
I don't know about
but
that.
It's like if they've got such a crack team, it's like it should be good, but it's like, once you start involving other countries, shit gets weird.
That's true. That's true. Aside from licensing and all that shit.
Just European internet laws are just like they're just not good. it just complicates like literally everything.
Did you get annoyed with GDPR?
What is GDPR?
You don't remember like last year at one point every single service ever just sent updates about GDPR? It's pretty much
is that the thing where everyone was memeing about everyone updating their terms of service at like the exact same time?
Correct, yeah, because that was about privacy concerns and all that of what websites had.
Some laws changed up somewhere and it's like, hey,
yeah, and it was in general all in the European Union. Then right now, a lot of websites are they're fighting it, but they're also bracing for impact of Article 13. So I really hope that doesn't pass.
Did you hear what else they're doing? They're trying to make it so you need your ID to look at porn, and you need to like register your ID and get a porn license.
Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna associate my name and my actual government issued ID with porn. What?
Now, I know porn stars have to do that so they can, prove who they are and prove that they're legal, but
that's for tax reasons, probably.
That too, yeah. Oh my god.
I mean, if you're just some dude who's trying to go on the internet to look at anime titties, like, the government doesn't need to track that. Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
It's like, oh, think of the children. It's like, yeah, when I was a kid, we found porn in the forest or like in an abandoned parking garage,
or like in the bushes or something, or like behind the shady rental shop.
It's like, you can't keep that stuff away from the kids. Yeah, sure, we weren't finding magazines of like the crazy shit you can find on the internet now. It's just pure degeneracy, but like, it's not the government's responsibility.
No, it really isn't.
That just makes it so awkward. Where you gotta like go to some government office.
It's like, look, the ISPs, the VPN providers, the websites, they already knew who you are. Okay, the government doesn't need to know that, and if they do need to, they'll figure it out. But you don't need to provide your ID with that.
Look, like if you're a parent, it's pretty easy to set up like parental locks on certain websites, like straight up through the router.
Mm-hmm.
Like just look it up on the internet and just do that.
Kids are smart enough and can bypass that, and of course get VPNs and everything
nowadays,
as well too.
But like to the point, like, can you imagine walking down to the DMV, waiting in line for like 2 hours, and be like, "Yeah, can I get a porn license?"
Now the good thing is, here's the good thing with the porn license, right? Like, if you do have to get one, it's not only going to be the creepy people that are getting it. It's going to be you're going to see people from all walks of life because everyone looks at porn. All right, so that's at least going to be something that's a bit better, I guess. Something that can put you at ease, but it's still just something like, just don't hand over an ID for porn. Don't ask me for that.
Yeah, and what if that happens? It's like, do I then become in possession of illegal pornography because I don't have my license yet?
I guess, I don't know. I'm sure most people are in possession because I don't know how many people really pay for their porn.
Well, not a lot of people these days download. Like, there aren't a lot of collectors and connoisseurs these days.
I don't know. You can go to data hoarders and just look at what people like to hoard on that.
There's some insane people out there. It's like, I read stuff on the internet sometimes and I'm like, wow, I thought I was like not a normie, but I feel like a totally normal person now. It's like, oh... Yeah, some people are pretty far gone with that, where they just have like terabytes and just like multiple hard drives full of shit. It's like, dude, you're never gonna watch it all. You've got too much now.
Dude, you know what? I have one story I can share, and it's like, I feel like this would be the opportune time to do it. But one of my best friends, Sean, I remember when we were in, I think either middle school or high school. I want to say it was high school. He was telling me about his older brother was in college at the time, and at his college there was an anime club. And it was just, extracurricular club, people who like anime, they can get together, watch stuff, trade anime, all that fun shit. And he didn't like going to the, Sean, my buddy, he didn't like going to the high school anime club because it was filled with the weird people. But the college anime club was filled with, sensible anime fans. I guess that's what you can call it. And he was telling me at the time, he was just like, yeah, dude, like, there's someone we know who has like a terabyte of anime and another terabyte of hentai. And I was like, oh, dude, yeah, Sean, I bet you want that. And he was just like, no, man, no, I don't want that. That guy's weird. And I don't have to describe too much about it, but just I'm going to explain the metadata of it. Again, so Tanner, it's a person who's an anime club, and they got a terabyte of anime and a terabyte of hentai. And it's not like now at this point, it's pretty easy to fill that up, I would say. We got 1080p.
Yeah, if you get an HD.
Just get, if you're going to pirate here, let's say, just get 1080p lossless stuff and you fill up a terabyte pretty quickly. This was like 2007, 2008.
Oh, well, that's like impressive. That's probably like such grainy footage too.
It's not just impressive, it's terrifying. You don't want to know the person behind that who owns that.
Yeah, you gotta, if you're that guy, you gotta hide your power level.
Yeah, but I guess this dude was proud of it.
I mean, I guess after you do all that work, like you gotta brag about it at some point.
I guess.
Otherwise, you're just sitting on like a terabyte of hentai. Like, what the fuck do I do with this now?
Exactly.
I can't watch it all. There's too much.
Yeah, I wonder.
I don't have that many hours.
I wonder if he ended up watching all of it, because I'm sure a lot of it was probably just not that good either, and I'm sure there were probably corrupted files in there too.
Oh, dude, like, honestly, most hentai is actually like not good.
I believe it.
Just like statistically, you just go by the tags. It's like most of it's not good, but you get that cream of the crop that just hits all the good stuff, and nobody gets like grotesquely tentacle raped. It's like, hey, good job, Japan. You did something not crazy.
Good job, Japan.
Yeah, it's like I can't engage with the anime community for too long. Like I'm not part of any community. I'm just like lurker, but I just, after a while, it's like I just gotta distance myself for a while and then come back, because it's just like it's too much. They've gone too far, I
totally get it. I know. I think one of the ways I could put it best is there was this one really awesome video I was seeing. It was like a 20-30 minute video or so, and it was talking about being a black guy living in Japan. And this dude was from St. Louis, and he ended up migrating over to Japan. And one of the things is, like, in Japan, for example, just in general, they're xenophobic towards outsiders. Like, he even said this, that they don't want foreigners living there. Like, you can come and you can be a tourist and you can spend your money and then go back home, but they don't want you to live there. So they will stereotype you just from where you're from, as opposed to your color, your nationality, your creed, or any of that other stuff. But, well, I guess technically nationality, that would, be in it. Technically, I guess, going with that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying here is, he mentioned, talking about all the weeb stuff, he made a very small mention of that, and he said, yeah, if you're thinking, you're a crazy weeb like in the US or Europe, for example, you're super obsessed with anime, doing all that shit out in public, and you think it's like that in Japan, no. There's only one place you could do it at, and it's on one block, on one street, in one specific area of town, in one area of Japan. Aside from that, like, the way people, like, in the West, for example, look down on weeb culture, it is like that tenfold in Japan. They absolutely hate it. They want to bury it. It is not cool to do that stuff out in public. It's just something that a few people latched onto, and it got popular worldwide. So if you want to be that crazy anime fan in public, please do it at home. Do not bring that to Japan.
Yeah, like, people tend to have just total, like, dissolute, like, they're just totally delusional about how Japan is, and it's like if you look into it, it's like it's just a bunch of people who like work all the time,
Work
and
too
like
much.
that's
They
it.
work themselves to death. I don't even know if that's really changed.
No, not really, honestly. But I mean, anime is like pretty popular there. But even in Japan, I'm pretty sure it's still like a niche media. Like it's not everyone. Like there's anime on TV and shit, and it's like cartoons and all that. But it's still not like you said. It's not socially acceptable. Like if you fucking are just walking around the streets of Tokyo with your body pillow and your anime shirt, people are gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Exactly.
Especially if you're like not Japanese too, because then they'll be like, what's going on here?
Yep.
And you know, you're walking around, Hajime mashite, fellow Nihojin.
And there's like, no, just go back home, please.
Yeah, just please leave.
Oh man.
I mean, they're like polite, but it's like, I don't know, they're also like ruthless, you know?
Yeah.
It's like they'll be nice and everything, but if you fuck up, like you're not getting, like, I don't know, like on the one hand, I totally think working there would be unhealthy.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I kind of just respect that like ruthless work ethic and just like that attitude of just like don't bring your personal troubles here to work. You've got your work face, you've got your home face.
I don't know,
your
but
work, wear the work face,
But then,
buddy.
Tanner, they're going to want you at work for like 16 hours a day.
Yeah, see, that's the bad part
Yeah,
where you're there
I-
literally all the time.
I think even with the way it is in Japan, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that now they are trying to put laws in place that are like, hey, look, no required working after 40 hours. Like you put in your 40 hours, you don't have to work anymore. But socially in the workplace and professionally, in order to really rank up, yeah, you can put your 40 in, but you really need to be putting in 50, 60, sometimes 70-hour work weeks.
Yeah, well, the thing is if you don't, someone else will, right?
Right. And then everyone's doing it, so I mean, it's really difficult to, set yourself apart.
Especially, yeah, it's like you're just going in, holding it down, doing the standard 40. It's like unless you are just like somehow doing way more work than everyone else, even though they're working 70 hours a week, it's like you're not really going to get noticed and you'll probably just stay where you are.
Right. A lot of it is kind of just almost for appearances. Like, hey, we just want your butt in that seat for 15 hours a day.
Oh, yeah, like just the way they view being like fired or leaving a company. If you don't work there for a very long time and you leave, like other companies will like not want to hire you as much. They'll be like kind of suspicious of like, well, why did you leave so early?
Yep, there's.
Did you not have any loyalty to your company?
Yeah, that's the big thing. Loyalty to the company is still the thing over there in that culture.
It's like interesting, but it's also kind of like you kind of feel bad, but it's like they've got some things right and some things wrong. Like the way they do school, it's like they've definitely kind of like leveled up our schooling system.
Oh hell
like,
yeah!
Everyone there is just so much smarter. They learn like actual like everything aside from like I've seen some of their English learning, and that's like the only thing they really don't have right because they don't give a shit.
Of course.
But like everything else, it's like they're just leaps and bounds ahead of us. It's like, oh my goodness. Yeah. It's kind of impressive, and they get the kids to like clean the school and stuff. It's like, god damn, if our schools were like run like this, people might actually care more. But like I remember high school and like nobody cared about anything. Like you watch anime and it's like, oh, the student council matters. I didn't even know my high school had a student council while I was there.
I don't even think our student council really did that much.
No, it's like over here they do nothing. It's like school is a joke.
It's all for appearances.
But over there it's like, yeah, if you don't do good in school, like you're not allowed to come home. You're not allowed in this family anymore.
Exactly.
It's like they take that shit seriously. It's like, oh, wow, it's kind of weird to see.
Man.
Even just like in fictional media, it's weird to see people take high school seriously.
Yeah, and then even so, I guess when you see it portrayed as well too, it seems like everyone is acting at a higher level than I guess we'd see in high schools here, I guess you could say. But then again, it's also kind of brings to the fact of, well, it's not going to affect it's not going to represent everyone. And then on top of that, that's a fictional media we're looking at. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, just like
anime's not real.
If you're just looking at like the statistics of how smart people are from places, it's like Japan's educational system is wild.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, obviously there's like, they've got their own delinquents and fucking, the same problems we have over here.
That's true.
Like all those kids that are just like, just don't care and are, sit around in the smoke pit all day. Like, I'm sure they have those kids there.
Oh yeah. They got their own cancer crews.
Yeah, exactly. But over there, they're even cooler because they bleach their hair and fucking squat around smoking cigarettes and shit.
Exactly. Jeez. Oh man. So there's one thing I want to touch up on. So I think we can go down a bit of a memory lane here. I was going to bring this up earlier, but we started, talking about Stadia and everything, which, by the way, I don't like that name. That's the last thing I'm going to say on that.
No, it's...
The whole time when they were
really describe
when they were talking, I thought they were saying stadium, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's like you can broadcast a lot of people because you can share it to YouTube instantly. All right, stadium makes sense. Wait, Stadia? But, yeah. Anyways, one thing I wanted to cover, just so people are aware as well, too, and if you're like an hour into this, you're still listening, thank you, but... Tanner, how the hell do we know each other?
Well, I believe in like 2008, we ended up in a random Xbox party chat while I was hanging out with a friend. And I think we were being really annoying playing Rock Band drums, and then you eventually left the party and didn't say much to us.
Yeah, man, because y'all were, man, hey, you know what? We can always, you never change a first impression, but you can always change what someone thinks of you. Because the first time I met Tanner, you're like one of my best friends now, right? And you have been for a long time. I thought this dude was annoying as hell.
Which, honestly, I don't blame you at all.
Yeah, no, it was, that was actually pretty accurate. Like, it was, I want to say summer 2008. I'd met someone we mutually knew, Andrew, and I've told this story about my clan and all that on the channel here several years ago. But what happened was I ended up knowing a bunch of his school friends, and I remember at one point he was going over to hang out with some dude named Tanner, and y'all were like getting into some fuck shit, and he was telling me about it. But I just remember that like one of the first times, like both you all got on the mic, and then you guys were messing. I think it was you were playing the drums, and it was just so loud and so annoying to listen to. And I was like, I can't take this, and I just left the party.
Especially over those 360 mics too.
Yeah,
it was pretty bad back in the day. Yeah, I remember like we'd play games every once in a while and never really chatted. And then just like one day after everyone logged off, we just kind of like stuck around and chatted for like another hour and like 2 hours.
Yeah. And was that Halo 3 or was that Call of Duty?
It's probably Call of Duty, honestly.
Okay.
I think we played a lot more Call of Duty than anything.
We did. I know you were more the Halo person, but Call of Duty is where I was hanging out with my Canadian online homies. So
yeah,
that's why it's like you were never in the clan, but then we started like we became like the closest friends despite you not being in the clan, and we still kept in contact because even then, like outside, we texted and we had MSN and we had all the other social networks that we had each other added on. We still corresponded throughout the years.
Yeah, it is really weird how it's like other people knew you way better than I did at first, and like I remember you sent like a bag of cookies and a copy of King Kong on 360 to Andrew.
Yeah, dude, that was a Christmas present. It was for Andrew and Will. I sent them each like some handwritten notes and each a bag of cookies, and I remember like Andrew and I were competing with Gamerscore and stuff and helping each other out, and I bought King Kong, I finished it, got 1,000 Gamerscore, and I just sent it in the package to him.
Yeah, I remember he opened that up at school and was like, oh, fucking King Kong.
and I remember like at your school, I was just this like mysterious enigma because I knew like Andrew and like at least like 5 or 10 of his friends, and y'all went to the same school. And then there was just like me, like random dude online who somehow everyone knew, and like I sent y'all shit at one point. And I remember there was one person, I'm not gonna say her name, but we were talking, And I remember at one point, like I told you about this, like her and I were in a chat one time, like on Skype years ago, and she found out that we knew each other, and she was like, "Wait, you know Tanner?" And I'm like, "Oh hell yeah, Tanner's one of my best friends." And she just freaked out, like, "What the fuck? How do you know him?" Because she thought like I was stalking her friends or something. I was like, "Nah, I was friends with Tanner like long before I knew you. He's a cool ass dude." And then I remember you told me, you were just like, "Yeah, when I go to school, I'm kind of quiet and all that. I don't really like." I'm not out there like talking to everyone, so I'm sure she was kind of surprised that we somehow knew each other really well.
Yeah, that's like, it probably just seemed like such a random thing. It's like, wait, that guy? But yeah, I remember like there was like that whole kind of circle of friends that Andrew and Will hung out with, and like everyone in that crew at least knew of Danny. It was like, it was like super weird, but it's also just, it's weird that I'm just the one who's like stuck around, but I guess just the way everything went, it kind of just makes sense.
Yeah.
So I mean, everyone changes and shit, but even though things are different, I feel like we still have the most in common. It's like there's just always that common ground of just like, yeah, you get it.
Exactly. Yeah, like I can like Tanner, you're one of my homies where we can not talk for like 6 or 9 months and we just hit each other up, and we do a little bit of a catch up, and it's just kind of like after the catch up phase it's like, oh, this is just on pause for like 9 months, let's just unpause this in here, like nothing changed.
Yeah, it's like it's just it's weird, because like people always say, oh, don't make online friends, and honestly I kind of agree with that nowadays, but it's like we got the sweet spot where it's like the internet wasn't too crazy and we were just playing Xbox, and like luckily no one was a creepy old man.
Thankfully. And we all verified this, because the other thing is, Tanner, like you were the first person I went like out of my way to meet up, like from online offline, because it was 2013, I want to say, for my spring break 2013. I flew up to Canada, and then I went into I landed in Ontario, and well, Toronto, and drove over to your place and hung out with you guys for a week.
Yeah, no, that's like surreal. It was awesome.
Yeah, I remember, like, I'm sure I kind of want to get your feelings on this, because I've told people about this before, but I just remember it's like when I hit you up, because I was like, hey, I'm in Canada, all right, I got my car, and like we're texting each other, and then it took me about 2 hours to drive there, and I just remember like I couldn't get into your building, so I texted you, and then you were coming down the stairs, and we kind of hugged and all that, and it was just this moment of like, what the fuck? This is real.
It's like, oh, you're a person.
Yeah. And there was I remember like I went up to your apartment, and then you're just like, hey man, no offense, like everything's all cool, but I just thought you were going to be a little taller, like just like an inch taller or something, but it's all good. We can work with this. And it's just no, but then I remember too, like the feeling I got, and I don't know if you could verify this, but it was really hard to look at you for the first like 30 minutes, just because there was this disconnect of, I've talked with this dude for at the time like 5 or 6 years. It's like I'd been talking with this dude for like 6 years, and now we're together, and I'm seeing you as a flesh and blood person, but like I was hungry, so we went out to get food, and then we came back, and within like 30 minutes, it's just like, oh, this is like an Xbox Live party, but offline.
Yeah, it was definitely a little awkward at first. I think probably a little less so for me, because you made videos, so I had actually seen your face before.
Right.
So it wasn't super weird hearing your voice come out of your face. I imagine, like, I don't exactly have an online presence, so just like fucking some random dude, it's like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, and I that does make sense, because I'd seen what you look like several times, but I'd mostly seen photos, because even like, I talked with you, like 99% of our communication was easily, like voice to voice stuff. Like it wasn't, and by that I mean like we did voice with text, but we also, if I saw you in videos, you either weren't appearing, or it was, just like a really like grainy, like 480p video or something.
Yeah, it's definitely, it was definitely like super weird at first, but yeah, for some reason, I guess watching your videos, you always seemed like you were a little bit taller, and I guess just like,
it's the camera,
I'm not
man.
like super tall, but I'm also like 6'3", so
Yeah, you're fucking
I guess
giant compared to me, it seems like.
it probably was like mostly just that. It's like, oh right, like most people aren't as tall as I am. It's weird because like out here where I am now, like most people, like I look in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Like any adult males, I mostly am looking them more or less in the eye. This one day, I actually met some lady who came up to the desk or whatever, and I was like talking to her or whatever, and then she walked away, and I realized the whole time, like I was looking directly into her eyes, like straight, like she was fucking tall. Like it didn't really click at first, but I was like, wait a minute, I wasn't looking down. That's weird. But yeah, I mean, you know, the camera doesn't really, I guess it adds a couple inches.
Right, and I guess it gains a few, adds a few pounds. I don't know. People say that the camera adds a few pounds, and for me, it never did it. Actually, I don't know. My camera, my angles, I guess, always made me look a little more slimming than I actually was.
Well, you didn't use the wide angle.
I guess, yeah, I didn't do the close up with the wide angle lens thing.
The extra thick angle lens.
Oh man. But yeah, no, that was a fun ass week. I got to meet your homie and your roommate Ken, and we just got to mess around and all that all week and like play games and stuff. And y'all like, man, y'all slept in. Like I'd be up at like 8 a.m. and I'm just like, cool, I have like 5 hours to do nothing.
Yeah, we were you know, a bit sleepy there.
It's all good. Just you know what, we were all like 18, 19. I was 19 at the time, so it's like, you know what, we all just got to be bummy as fuck.
Yeah, no, it was like it was an awesome week. It's like kind of a bummer just because I was super poor at the time. Like if something like that happened now, it'd be way better because I can actually buy stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, oh, I need to go to this store and buy food. It isn't like an issue of how much can I buy. It's like I fucking get whatever I want.
I mean, it was all good. We still got to have fun and everything too.
Yeah,
so.
No, it definitely wasn't bad
I know,
at all.
I know it was an issue, and then I know even because I'd visited, like, then we saw our dude Jamie. Shout out to Jamie. We got to see him. Yeah. We didn't see Andrew. God damn it, for a few reasons. I'm not going to get into that here, but what ended up happening, I remember too, was it was real cool as hell, like getting to meet your parents and all that. And I didn't meet your brothers at the time, not that trip.
Oh yeah, no, you didn't.
But yeah, I think we were dropping off Jamie, and then we just dropped by to see your mom. And I remember your mom was even like, she was real happy to meet me, and she's like, yeah, I'm really happy you exist, because I didn't know who Tanner was talking to this whole time. I didn't know if he was talking to anybody.
Yeah, it's honestly, like, ever since you've been to like my brother's wedding and everything, now like I'll talk to my parents and everyone's more like, oh, how's Danny doing?
Oh, man, I appreciate that.
No, it's awesome. They love you, man. 'Cause,
I love them. Your parents are cool as hell.
You're also just like, I think they just are like, oh, he's a good influence on our boy. You know, you're like a responsible adult and stuff.
I guess I try.
You're just like a reasonable dude. Like you could get along with, I feel like, pretty much anyone.
Well, I try for sure. I got friends and family and stuff all over the place, high and low places and all that. I just try to be nice to everyone. You know, I try.
Well, you succeed.
Well, thank you.
But yeah, no, it's it was definitely cool just to be like, hey mom, see, I'm not crazy.
And I'm like, hi Tanner's mom, I'm Mr. Mario or Danny. Like, I'm the person who's been on the Xbox for like 5 years. Yeah. But yeah, no, getting to see your mom and dad was cool. I remember I got to see, I was excited, man. I remember this is a little disappointing. I was excited to see like all the animals y'all had, and we found out like 2/3 of the animals at your parents' place had died.
Yeah, they or they just kind of gotten rid of them.
Yeah,
like, we had a bunch of bunnies and stuff.
Yeah, the bunnies were gone, and then you were like, okay, well, mom, we can at least show Danny the guinea pigs, and she just didn't say anything. You're like, mom, no, not the pigs. I was excited as hell to see some guinea pigs.
We did have an excess of animals at one point, but yeah, they kind of culled those. The numbers dropped a bit after everyone left.
Man.
Whether they gave a bunch of them away, but yeah, I think one of the guinea pigs and a few of the rabbits died.
Man,
it's kind of sad.
That was disappointing. But then I got to see your two dogs, and I know there's the big one's Murphy, and the I don't remember the small dog's name. It's not Lily. It's who is that?
Ripley.
Ripley. Okay.
But I think Lily was the dog you met, and then she.
No, I think it was Ripley.
Are you sure? Okay, yeah, no, you're right. It was
and
like a bit after that had happened.
for anybody thinking it's My Lily, no, like Tanner's family has a wiener. They had 2 wiener dogs, and one of them was named Lily, and the other's Ripley. But no, it's great because, and I've told this story about your dog so many times, just because it cracks me the fuck up. But you got Ripley, which is this small, stereotypical yappy dog, and then you have Murphy, who's this giant ass black lab who has the mentality and thinks that he's a small dog, so he is just as annoying, just as yappy, but in the power of a giant dog. And then on top of that, I saw he would try and, like, at one point he was underneath a table with Ripley, and then Ripley stood up and walked out, and Murphy stood up like 3 or 4 times and crashed back down because he thinks he's a small dog. He couldn't realize that he was too big to stand underneath this table.
Yeah, he's not exactly the smartest, but I think he's kind of adjusted to his size later on in his life.
I noticed the last time I saw him, he was smarter. He was more cognizant of his spatial awareness.
Still way too hyped up. Like, every time I see him, he just gets, like, super jacked up, and he's just, like, ready to go. It's probably because every time I see him, I just, like, rile him up on purpose, but...
I got you. I mean,
Yeah,
my dog Lily is, she's got those tendencies too, where, like, for example, if you come here and you meet her, she'll sniff you a bunch, and she might, like, you know, kind of like jump on you once or twice, and she'll just lean on you, hang out with you. And the first time she meets someone, she's interested in them. However, the second time you meet her, oh my God, she'll go nuts, because at that point, because she will see you and be like, oh my God, Tanner, I thought you died. It's been like 3 months since I saw you. And she'll just flip the fuck out with excitement.
Never thought I'd see you again.
Exactly. It's been like that with all of my friends. Like, the first time, she's very interested in them and just really likes to hang out. But every time after that, she just flips out with excitement seeing them again.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure every person she's deemed as okay, it's like, oh, this person's cool. They give me the pets.
Exactly.
Every time they show up, it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, no. And then now we were talking about the wedding and all that back in 2017, for anybody that doesn't know, because where Kea Bridges hosted, it's Zoltan Squid, and that's where your brother, the only Zoltan, he does stuff with you as well too, and he got married in 2017, and I was so happy for this. But he invited me to the wedding, and I think, like, I was actually gonna check with you, was I the only person who came from out of the country for this?
Yeah, I think maybe, unless someone from his
like
his
the
wife's family came out, but
oh yeah, maybe.
I think like, out of everyone I knew there, yeah, for sure.
All right.
The only international guest.
Right on. That was fun. I remember because I had a few things that were like, first of all, I got to meet both of your brothers for the first time, and then I got to see your parents again. I got to see you again, of course.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, y'all got to see my disgusting burps are legitimate. All the weird noise and shit I made on Discord when we were talking, those were legit as well too. I brought up the game consoles for you guys too. And
oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, no, that was my suitcase was so fucking heavy because I traveled with like a PS1, a PS2, a 3DS, and like some other stuff.
Yeah, thanks for that 3DS. I actually just play that like not every day, but before bed I'll just like play Smash for a bit.
Oh, no problem, man. No problem. Yeah, I told you I'd hook you up with one. I did you up. But yeah,
I got to ask you some questions about it at some point.
Sure. Offline we could talk, but after the call at least. But yeah, no, I remember like one of my favorite things was I had never spoken with, at the time, your brother's fiance, and so for anybody, if you weren't on the Mr. Mario channel for the past few years, at one point I used to spam this video of Stomedy saying, "Oh yes," everywhere. Like, it was on Twitter, it was on Instagram, it was on Discord, it was on the channel, it was everywhere, right? And for this wedding RSVP, dude, I had to send like 3 or 5 stamps on this thing because like Colton sent out a physical RSVP to me, and I ticked yes on there for one person, and then I end up taking a screenshot of somebody saying yes, and it had, the subtitle on it as well. I cut that out, I put it inside the envelope, sent it, and I didn't say anything about it. But from what I understand, there were a few conversations where his future father-in-law was just like, "Hey, Colton, so we got a RSVP back from one of your friends, and he sent a picture of himself." And Colton was just like, "Wait, who would send a picture of himself? Who was it?" And they're like, "Oh, we don't remember, but like one of your friends just sent like a funny picture of himself with it." And Colton's like, "Okay, that sounds like one of my friends would do." And then I think later on they said that it was Danny, and he was like, "Huh, okay, so Danny sent a picture of himself. I guess that's something Danny would do." And then the third time it came up was when he ended up visiting them, and he asked to see the RSVP. And from what I understand, he pulled it out, he saw the photo, just busted out laughing, just lost it. And then he had to explain it to his fiance and his future father-in-law and mother-in-law, and of course none of them understood it, because you have to explain, who this guy is, and that photo was not me, and then that it's a part of a meme. But what is a meme? You have to explain the meme, and they were just very confused and kind of worried at that point.
I think for a little bit there, Kate did get into this Stomedy memes. So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So you did convert someone.
Dude, the first time I was going to mention that too. Like, I don't know if I've shared this story on the channel. I don't think I have. But the first time I ever spoke with his wife, it was at the rehearsal dinner. And, she was going around to all the tables and stuff. And then I introduced myself, and she's like, "Oh my God, are you Danny? Oh my God, that meme that you sent was so funny." And I was like, "Oh, you saw that?" She's like, "Yeah, guys, Danny just sent this really funny meme to us. Oh my God, Danny, it was so funny." And then I whipped out my phone and pulled out the "Oh Yes" video. And I remember, like, I turned up my volume and showed it to her, and she was laughing. And there was a few other people who were looking at it, and they laughed. And Colton just like, I remember you kind of lost it. You just bust out laughing because you just hear "Oh Yes" from the side. And Colton just turns around because he's like, "The last thing I'm expecting to hear at my rehearsal dinner is Stomedy. Danny, what are you doing?"
Yeah, that was a good time.
Man, yeah, that was
definitely some good memeing.
That was some good times for sure.
Although I still physically cringe every time I think about the speech I had to make.
Oh yeah,
so I just kind of shudder.
Yeah, you called your brother, salt of the earth. Said he was a real good guy.
I had to include that. Salty, a great guy.
Yeah, though, at least, oh man, I'm not sure. I'll do it. I know your youngest brother. We kind of got to put him on blast a little bit. He missed the wedding, and he was in it.
Yeah, so, that was pretty bad.
At least you weren't that bad, because I remember he got like his times mixed up and everything, and to his credit, he did feel real bad about it, but he showed up right as the ceremony ended.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good joke for his speech, threw that in there.
Yeah, he did.
Although neither of us wrote a speech. It's like the worst brothers ever.
Well, I remember I told your family, I was like, "Look, because your mom like referred to me as a son. I was like, if you need me to, I'll sub in. Like, I'm not going to match, and I didn't do any of the participation or practice, but I'll sub in." And they're like, "No, we just kind of have to have 2 women hooked on to Tanner as opposed to 1.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Exactly. Yeah, there was nothing wrong with what you did. But yeah, no, I remember it was something like the rehearsal dinner was the night before at 6, and then the actual ceremony was at 4 the next day. And for some reason, your brother mixed it up where I think it was something like he thought that the rehearsal was at 6 and the dinner, well, not the rehearsal was at 6 and the wedding was also going to be at 6. But he didn't know that change, so he started driving right as the wedding was starting.
Yeah, he was not prepared.
Yeah,
so it was a bit of a bummer, but he recovered. He saved it.
He did.
At the end there.
He did.
Showed up, gave a speech. Somehow followed my fantastic speech. There's like footage of that somewhere, and I really hope it just never gets out.
I need to. I won't release it by any means, but I do need to see that.
I mean, I remember people were laughing, but maybe just kind of more so because I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it might have been that. And then also it was like your brother came on stage. He's like, "Hey, I'm the other brother. Y'all probably didn't see me because I wasn't at the ceremony."
I think he said something like, "The ceremony went by real fast. It's almost like I wasn't even there."
Something like that. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was despite the hiccups, it was a good time.
It was, for sure. For sure, yeah. Your parents, I mean, the whole family seemed to be happy because there was extended family and all that as well too. Your brother and his wife, they seemed to be pretty happy with it as well. So it was an awesome ceremony.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time. Celebration and all that. It's, despite the fact that I don't like going outside very much, it was actually pretty fun.
Oh, man. No, I feel, well, hey, you know what? There were a few times you just need to get away from people. I was like, hey, Tanner, let's just go outside and do some shit.
Yeah, no, it's, gotta take a breather every once in a while, just kind of like chill.
I understood you, man. I understood you.
It gets loud in there.
Exactly.
I'm not exactly a loud guy. It's tough for me to keep up because, like, I have to try really hard to just talk to people.
Yo,
because
man,
I've got to like speak up.
I'm one of those people. I describe myself as a social introvert. Like, it took me years to figure this out, but I'm a social person. I like hanging out with people. I like talking with people and such, but I have my limits. And if I can choose to, there's times where I just have to hang out with someone. Like I'm hitting, let's say cabin fever. I'm just like, dude, I just have to hang out with a friend. I got to call up someone. I need to talk with someone. Where's Tanner at? But, no, when it comes down to it, like, I'm one of those people, generally, I'm perfectly happy, like, being alone or just doing my own thing or absorbed in my own hobbies or doing whatever it is. And one thing with really working is that's kind of tapped me out a bit as well, too, because, the job that I have, I talk with people constantly every single day, and that's just a part of it. But there's times where, it's like, I tap out my people usage for the day. So by the time I get home, I'm like, man, I just want to eat and I just want to get in front of the computer and do shit or mod this system or work on this video or just do this thing. I just want to be by myself, hang out with my dog and work on something. Just get enveloped in something for like 4 hours. I don't want to get on a call. I don't want to hang out with anyone. I just need to be by myself.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. I feel like I'm similar, but I'm not social to begin with. Like, my tolerance for dealing with people is so like just pathetically low. It's like, honestly, like it's pretty bad to the point where it's a hassle for me to do like literally anything that isn't just like working or like I'll go get groceries or do stuff that I have to do, but like even going to get my mail, which is like a block away, it's like every time I'm just like I gotta like hype myself up for it. Just go get the mail. If you don't get the mail now, they'll send it back and you won't get it. You just like I gotta like talk myself up to even do that. It's like I'm glad my job involves such little human interaction because I can just kind of like chill and listen to stuff, but I feel like it's definitely becoming a little concerning.
I understand.
Maybe
you gotta have
like,
that balance because I've had jobs where I've just worked by myself and I'm just like, hey man, I gotta talk with someone, I gotta hang out with someone. And then I've had jobs where I'm extremely public facing and then I'm just like, man, I just want to go home and do nothing. I don't want to see anyone. I just need my 4 walls.
Yeah, see, it's like I'm okay with that, but the problem is it's like your level of interaction just starts like deteriorating. And you just get so much worse at socializing. Like, I didn't realize how bad I was until, like, anytime anyone, like, just kind of approaches me at work about non-work things or, like, someone comes in, it's like, oh, hey, has, like, a little conversation, just, like, small talk, and I just, like, totally choke. And I'm just like, like, I didn't know you could flub just a normal conversation, but I do it constantly. It's pretty bad.
For me, I've noticed that there's a lot of times I just kind of want to be in my own world and zen and just be working at work. So I use headphones as my tool a lot. And sometimes I'm not even listening to anything or have anything playing. I just need to kind of quiet everything down for a bit. Kind of need to go into my own little bubble. But there's times where, it depends. Some days I'm just talking all the time. Other days I'm super quiet, real reserved, just keeping to myself. And thankfully my coworkers are pretty aware of that. But like one of my coworkers, real cool dude, I have nothing against him. But he's trying to be a bit more cognizant of that. Like there's like sometimes if I'm working on something and I'm really enveloped in like reading instructions or reading a guide or looking into an article, he'll keep like coming over and talking to me and I'm polite. And then like he just kind of notices I'm getting a little bit more annoyed. And then the 5th or 6th time he does it, he's like, hey, am I annoying you? I'm like, oh, I'm trying to do a thing here. I don't want to be impolite and push you off. But now we kind of have this understanding where he'll ask me at times, and then there's other times where I don't know that. I guess I just need to be more assertive. That's what I've been doing more, where there's times occasionally, like, let's say I have to get up and he's trying to like flag me over for something, like, as opposed to, you know, kind of, and it's not all the time, just sometimes, like, as opposed to just like being polite and staying there for 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes I'm just like, dude, I gotta go. I got up because I have to go take a shit. I need to take a shit first, and then I'll come back and we can talk.
Well, yeah, that's a pressing matter. You can't delay that.
Exactly.
It's like, I mean, during work hours is actually the optimal time to shit.
Exactly. You get paid for it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, they got bathrooms, so they're expecting it.
Yeah, but man, some people just destroy the bathroom at work, and it's fucking disgusting.
See, that's where working in the middle of the night alone is optimal, because there's like 4 or 5 different bathrooms. So I just go to the very like back of this like banquet hall that rarely gets used, and those ones are just always pristine.
In college,
it's incredible.
I found a few bathrooms that had very limited foot traffic, so that was nice. But the problem is, like, in the previous building we were at, because we moved somewhat recently, at the previous building, our floor seemed to be pretty okay. But now that we've moved and we have a bunch of cheat teams who change around and all that, Tanner, we ended up getting the people on our floor who just have the most fucked up bowels at times.
Oh, and it's like, I imagine it's just like standard office bathroom, so.
Yeah. I mean, they're nice, but the thing is, it's like I go to any of the other floors and those bathrooms are fine, but it's always like our bathroom is messed up because of the people that are in it. It's like we ended up getting cursed. We don't know who it is, but we got the team who's messing up the bathroom. All right.
It's one of the teams just eating a lot of what is that stuff? You get the bowels going. Some bran.
A lot of diuretics, I guess.
Just pure bran muffins, getting that fiber load.
Oh man.
So what, you just like evacuate to one of the other floors when you really want cleanliness and peace?
Sometimes you just got to do it, man.
No, you know, if you can find like a safe haven like that, it's like the greatest.
Yep.
But
truly,
it's tough to do in the modern office world, I imagine.
I know. Say, like, toilet time. I think Cartman, he had said toilet time is the last bastion of American freedom.
It really is. Like, a person's bathroom, it's like, a public bathroom is like, you know, you can never really be fully comfortable, even at work. Even the bathrooms that I use where it's like there's literally no one around at all. Like, it's just dead silent, it's peaceful. But compare that to being at home, it's like you can like meditate. You like go into a trance at home. It's like, you know,
yeah, man,
it's a whole other level of peace there.
Hell yeah, I agree, man. Sometimes you could just use it to just get away from people too. I don't know if you have a big family or something.
Yeah, I used to do that at home when there was all of us, my parents and 2 brothers. We had like 3 bathrooms, so I could just kind of like go and chill in one.
Yeah, it's great, and no one's gonna question it because it's like, what are you doing in the bathroom? I'm using the bathroom. Like, what do you think I'm doing? There's 2 things I could be doing in here. I'm taking a shower, or I'm using the bathroom. All right.
Back in the day with our Game Boy Colors, you just take a seat and.
Oh yeah, but you had to get
down.
You had to get the color just like not the color, the light just optimal on those, you know, to see everything properly.
Yeah,
I don't miss that.
Even the little like plug-in lights you could get to use in the dark, it's like just glared off the screen unless you were looking at it from the right angle.
Yeah. Now, yo, I'll tell you that the gaming experience that changed for me in the bathroom was when I got the PSP, because I mean that thing was nice and it had the backlight on it. All right.
Oh, dude, PSP was legit.
Man, I was able to live out my fantasy. Well, one of them, which was to play Grand Theft Auto while I'm taking a dump.
And you could use the internet on those things too.
You could.
I remember using the web browser.
It was bad. It was bad enough where I kind of just chose not to do it most of the time because I was playing my games.
That's fair. Yeah, I remember I had Star Wars Battlefront on there. It was actually sick.
Yeah, it was Grand Theft Auto, Hot Pixel, a few other games for me.
I had that legit Darth Vader PSP in white.
Nice. That was a nice one. Even if for me, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I always thought that PSP was quite dope.
It definitely looked cool as hell.
For sure.
Kind of wish I still had it. I remember like the disc things you'd slap in there, just like stupid.
Yeah, the UMDs.
Yeah, those things were really dumb. I didn't really understand like the thought process. I'm kind of glad they phased those out.
I mean,
like, they're cool, but
yeah. It was a redux of the mini disc.
Yeah, I just found it weird that they were in that weird like plastic casing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It was
But
just,
I guess it was like
I guess, proper
portable.
way of loading it up and everything. Yeah, they weren't super portable, but that's also why I modded my PSP pretty early on. Like within 2 months of getting it, I modded it with custom firmware, and that was so at that point, you know, even any games that I bought, I just dumped the ISOs and ran them off my memory card, and I rarely played UMD games off of the PSP itself.
I think I remember I wanted to try and mod my PSP, and then I like looked up how to do it, and there was that whole battery thing, and I was just like, it's not worth it.
Man, you could have just hit me up at the time. I would have helped you out.
See, I think I wasn't thinking clearly. I was like a kid, and I was like, I don't have money. I can't get this.
Yeah. No, I feel that, but well, not even that. There was other methods outside the Pandora battery that you could have done, but once the Pandora battery came out, oh my god, it was a wrap. That was my preferred method to mod systems.
I mean, you could even just like buy the battery pre-modded and all that, which is like probably what I would have done. But like as a kid, you know, you don't have a job, so
yeah,
what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, no, I remember that. You had to hustle for your money, or just do a bunch of chores.
Yo, Dad, I'll clean the pool today.
Exactly.
Hook it up with that 5-ski.
Oh man, you had a pool. I had to mow the lawns and stuff.
Well, we had a lawn too, so it was one or the other.
Oh,
but
I
there
got
was 3 of us, so they kind of split stuff up. Some days you'd mow the lawn, some days you have to clean the pool. Honestly, I think the pool was maybe easier.
Gotcha. Yeah,
I don't
know. Doing the lawn was fun for me near the end because I ended up I got it down where I could mow my front and backyard all together within 1 hour, and then I just used it as a good excuse to listen to music.
Oh yeah, for sure. Although, you ever use a push mower? Cause that's not cool.
Yeah, no. You're talking about like a non-mechanical one?
No, yeah, like.
Oh
you
no,
just
I've never
push
used
it and
those,
it
man.
goes.
No, I had like a push mower that had a motor on it.
Yeah, we had one of those, and then it broke, and then my dad got one without a motor for a bit, and I remember mowing the lawn with that thing was a fucking nightmare.
I do not
like
envy you.
So much work, and we had like a pretty sizable lawn because it's like a small town, so it's like bigger lots and stuff. And
Yeah,
it's like the grass was always long. It's like thick weeds, and it just get like wet. It'd all get clogged up in the blades, and you'd have to like rip massive chunks out when the wheels stop spinning. It's like you're using it and you're like, why do they sell these anymore? Like at some point it's just more efficient to get a scythe and just like walk slice it up. Like it's like so horribly inefficient. It's like you'd need like basically you get some Japanese smith to fold steel 1,000 times and maybe those blades will be sharp enough to like be useful, but it's just like why?
Maybe it will be useful.
See, like I got it's like you have time to think about this stuff when you're mowing a lawn with a push mower.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I thought about a lot of
like,
life things when I was like 14, 15, 16 when I was mowing.
You push the push mower, you're like, why are we still here? Just to suffer.
Memes.
But it's like it's truly horrific. I feel like it's some kind of torture because it's like, you know what, especially if you know what using an actual lawnmower is like, and the easy, like you just kind of push it and it does all the work. You just kind of walk behind it.
Oh hell yeah!
Make sure it doesn't go wild, and it's like, oh, this is fine. You got to actually push it. You got to put your muscles behind it. It's like, no, what am I doing? What is life? Why has society developed to the point where this is happening in the current era?
True that.
What went wrong?
We shouldn't have to do this.
Welcome to my TED Talk on push mowers.
And with that here, not wrapping up, but there's one other thing I want to talk about at least. I know I'm running out of steam a little bit, but I did want to bring this up with you because I thought you'd be a good person to talk about this with. But Master Chief Collection on PC, you saw this, right?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did hear
yeah,
about
what are your
that.
thoughts on that so far, that announcement?
I think that's big. It's like what Halo needs.
Hell
It's
yeah.
been Xbox exclusive forever, and like no one really plays Xbox anymore. And like they went through all the trouble of fixing the Master Chief Collection. Like it makes sense for them to go through the trouble to try and get the most amount of people playing it.
And I know 343i that they had gone on record because they've been asked for years to bring Halo to PC and then to bring Master Chief Collection to PC. And I remember even like a year or two ago they said, "Hey, look, we are not going to say that bringing MCC to PC is impossible, but we want to fix it on Xbox first and optimize it before we even devote any kind of focus to a PC port. Just let us fix the game on the original console first.
Oh yeah, because if they tried to bring it over in like a half working state like that, I can't even imagine. Like people's computers would be exploding.
Yeah. Well, it's so for anybody that doesn't know, Master Chief Collection, it includes Halo Anniversary, Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo 3 ODST, and the multiplayer components for them as well too. So it has all of those baked in. So not only Master Chief Collection is getting a full port over to PC, but on top of that, Halo Reach is also going to be added to the Master Chief Collection, and I believe Firefight and multiplayer are going to be added in for free, but you have to pay separately for the campaign.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
obviously the single player.
If it's like $10, honestly, I'll pay for it. I don't mind, and I'd like to play that. And they're all supposed to be running at 60 frames per second, and I guess at 4K as well too. Then I mean, on PC it's going to be variable, but on the Xbox One X, for example, you can play them at native 4K, to my understanding. But that's going to be cool to play with. One thing I found a little bit funny is my Game Pass ran out, so I'll probably renew it at one point. But a lot of people were complaining about the campaign being charged for, and then out of the argument I've seen, it's not a good argument, but there's a lot of people who are saying, well, it's not going to be paid because you can just get it for free through Game Pass. And it's just like, no, that's not how this works. It's still a paid game. You just have access to it through Game Pass, but you don't own it.
Yeah, and I mean, Games Pass, you gotta like pay for that, right?
Exactly, which is noticeably cheaper, mind you. But like, for example, in my situation, like, again, I'm probably going to renew it, but you get, a few months of Game Pass, and then when it expires, the games that you are playing on Game Pass, you don't own. You can only access those if you either resubscribe to Game Pass and they're still on there, or if you purchase the games. That's the only way you can keep them without Game Pass. So it's
it's more like a rental.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think a lot of it's Game Pass is really ingenious by Microsoft, and I think that it's a great way to not only have a huge library of games to access, but also just for people to really get on board the Microsoft train, the Xbox ecosystem, and all that, whether that's on PC or an Xbox console. But the problem is a lot of people are also drinking the Kool-Aid too fast and thinking that it equals free games when it really isn't. It's like, no, these games are added, they can be removed at any time, you're not owning these. So a lot of people have also, I guess what I'm getting at here, like this kind of expanding out a little, but some games such as like Sea of Thieves or Crackdown 3 that have been quite lackluster, those are full $60 retail games that came out, and a lot of people were giving them kind of free passes because they said, well, dude, it's available on Game Pass, so it's technically like a $10 a month game. It's like, no, this is a full retail $60 game. You're just accessing it in a cheap way, but it shouldn't be looked at differently just because it's on a subscription service.
Yeah, that's like it's like, oh, well, I played it for cheaper, so it's like, it's not, I don't need to compare it to a AAA price. So yeah, but it is AAA price.
Exactly.
It's like you get a game on sale on Steam, and it's like, yeah, it's really good for a $40 game, but it's like, yeah, but it's normally a full price game.
Right. And I'm even thinking like movies, for example, like because they use the Netflix model on there where you don't own any of the movies on Netflix, you just access them and they can be added or removed whenever. But like, for example, if let's say Deadpool comes out, that's the last movie I end up watching. Deadpool is thrown onto Netflix, and people will really enjoy it. And if you really enjoy it, awesome. But you don't own that movie. Netflix is just allowing you to access it, and they can remove it at any time. But at the same time, if somebody watches it and they hate it and they say, oh, well, you know what, it really wasn't that good, but I'm going to give it a pass because, it's free for everyone on Netflix, so it's a free movie. It's like, no, it should still be held to the standard of other movies that it's competing with.
Yeah, see, like, to me, it's like the amount of money I pay for it, it's not the biggest factor in, how I judge somebody. It's like, is it good or not? You know, it's like if I play a game, it's like, well, I only spend $2, but it's a steaming pile of shit. It's like, well, it sucks. It's $2 wasted.
Exactly.
Or if I spend like $80 because it's $79.99 up here for a full price game.
Oh, so that's like a $30 game here.
Yeah, that's like $20. Basically free. They just give them away to you guys. But yeah, it's like I pay like $80, and it's like, you know, if it's a good game, it's a good game. I mean, I'm sure I've paid like full price for games that I probably haven't put like enough hours for them to be worth it yet, but I'm like, they're good games. Like Nier Automata, I haven't played that like at all yet, but I know whenever I get around to it, I'll be like, this is sick.
I've only played about 30 minutes or an hour of it, but oh my goodness,
Yeah,
it was
same.
awesome.
The whole intro sequence was so sick.
It
I was
is.
like, this is awesome.
It is, man. And I know there might be some people pulling out their hair. They're like, "What? You only played like 30 minutes or an hour?" I'm like, I know. Because it's one of those games you don't beat it one time. You're supposed to beat it like 5 or 10 times because it constantly changes.
I got tied up in like Persona 5 around the same time. It was like right after I got it, so I just like totally just lost my place. I've been meaning to go back for a while, but every time I do, I get sucked into something else, and I'm just like, oh, this game's sick.
I understand.
It's too many games, man.
Too many games.
They're just making good ones. It's like, why?
They are.
I mean, it's good that they are, but also, it's like, there's just too many. Although Sony's doing their part by ruining all the anime titty games, so that just like culls the list down for me.
I guess so, yeah. So there's games that you know you're definitely not going to pick up on a PlayStation console.
Honestly, it's really sad.
It is. It's crazy.
I thought they were supposed to be the chosen one.
They were, but all of a sudden it's like they don't want to do crossplay and they're censoring games. Apparently they also, in the Western release of Devil May Cry 5, they end up censoring some stuff in there too.
Yeah, see, it's like, man, it's one thing, you know, crossplay. I don't really care about that. I don't play enough online games.
I
to,
care
like,
about
worry
it for
that.
other people, I guess I could say. Because, like, I am in support of it, and, like, I've seen it in my own household where, like, Tanner, you know me, I'm one of the people, I will get every system. I'll get multiples of systems if I have to, but that's me. But my brothers, realistically, for example, they have their systems thanks to me because I'm the cool, kick-ass older brother, but they don't have multiples. They have one. So, for example, they have one Xbox One, they have one Switch, and it kind of popped for me, and it's just cool as hell where if one of them is playing Fortnite and the other one wants to join in, they can play together on 2 different systems.
Yeah, like I get the feature set. It's like totally useful, and it like any game that includes it is like just infinitely more popular and accessible. So it's like, from a business perspective, like not doing that, it's just like there's literally like, unless it is just so insanely expensive, which I feel like for Sony it probably isn't.
It's not.
I feel like they could probably swing it for the amount of money they'd make, and it's like the thing I have a big problem. It's like, why are they censoring games? It's like, come on, man.
I don't get
People
that.
play these weird Japanese games because they're weird Japanese games. If you censor them, what's the point? I could just play whoever's, you know, social justice simulator, whatever comes out. It's like, it's the same thing. It's like, if I wanted to play a watered down censored experience, I wouldn't be playing these weird ass Japanese games in the first place.
I respect that. Yeah, I don't think I just bought Devil May Cry 5 on PS4, so I got a good deal on that, thankfully. I got Devil May Cry 5 with the Devil May Cry HD collection for $65. So I'm going to play the game. I'm going to really enjoy it. It looks excellent so far, but I am going to be one of the people who is unfortunately supporting the censored Western release of it because I'm getting a NTSCU copy of it.
To be fair, out of all like censored games, I'm sure Devil May Cry 5 didn't have that much crazy shit in it that would be censored, because like
it's like one scene that's censored, and I think like one of the characters is almost naked or pretty much naked, and just in the Western release they don't have her naked.
Like that's lame, but at the same time it's like that's like one scene. But it's like when you have
Tanner,
these games that are literally
though.
It's the principle. The worst part is like games that are literally just anime titty jiggle physics simulators that get censored. It's like, you've ruined the entire game. Like Dead or Alive, where it's like the developers like, we're gonna make a concerted effort to make the women less sexy. It's like, what's the point? what is the entire point of Dead or Alive? It was to pioneer titty physics.
That's true.
And now we're going to like take them away? What's the point?
You know, in the first Dead or Alive on PS1, there's a option where you can toggle bouncing breasts on or off.
Yeah.
That is a option in the settings.
Now it's just going to be off, and it's like, well, no one's playing Dead or Alive because it's a structurally sound fighting game. I mean, I'm sure someone is, but I'm pretty sure we know why most people are there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, you know, and then
I'm just one of those people too. I'm like, look, it's, well, even with those games, you know, there's been counterparts that have come out literally this gen. It's been weird. There's anime titty games that are out on the Switch that are not censored, but the PS4 ones are. That's just absolutely insane to me. But on top of that, I think the important thing is, like with Devil May Cry, for example, I talked about, you know, the nudity and they're being censored. This is not a rated E or rated T game. This is a rated M game. This is designed for audiences 17 or 18 and older than that. So it's not like you have to axe it out to get a teen rating. It's like, no, this game is for a mature audience. If a 12-year-old child, and this is my own opinion on it, but if a 12-year-old child gets a hold of the game and the parent complains because of that scene, you aren't doing your job as a parent because you somehow allowed that game to come into your household, whether you were the one who bought it or whether you didn't monitor what your kids were purchasing and playing. You are to blame on that. However, if it was like a T-rated game and you got it for your kid and it had that, I understand what the concern is.
Yeah, obviously. And like games like that, you look at the little ESRB thing on the back, it'll tell you what's in the game. So if you see M and it says nudity, maybe don't get that for your 12-year-old, because it's like, you know, when I was young, my parents would like let us play Halo and stuff because it's like you're shooting aliens and stuff. But when it came to like Grand Theft Auto and stuff that was more like real, they would be like, no, Grand Theft Auto, you're too young for that.
Right. Well, and I'm sure not only with the content, but also the context too. And it sounds kind of silly saying that, but it's like, okay, well, like let's say you're a parent and you're kind of selective on M-rated games. You probably don't want your kids to play, you know, run and gun sex simulator, but come on, like you let your kid play Halo. It's a game where you are a superhuman of some kind. I'm just saying that there. But, you know, a very strong human here in this case, a heavily refined soldier. And you are killing you're killing aliens to save Earth, to save the human race. Like, as a parent, you should be supporting that. It's like, no, we want you to save the human race with your spare time. Do this. Think about the future, little Billy.
It's not like no one's going to play that game and think, oh, I should go kill aliens in real life. Aliens don't exist.
Yeah,
We give like a 12-year-old Grand Theft Auto and they start like banging hookers and smoking crack. They're going to be like, oh, this, you know, it's actually kind of cool.
Exactly. I think it also depends on, you know, not only the context, but also, you know, if you're going to talk about that stuff with your kid, how much that's going to affect them. Like if it directly affects them and such, then, I mean, you need to be aware of that. But there's kids, like I was playing those games when I was young, when I was 10, 11, 12, and I had a very clear distinction between fact and fiction, and what not to do and what not to do, and what to emulate and what to actually do in real life and such, and what not to do. So my parents weren't all too worried about handing me those games as long as I understood that and had, you know, a good head on my shoulders, so to speak, on that. But I mentioned the alien invasion type thing just because it sounds silly saying that again, but I had spoken with a mom where that is how she was thinking, and she was even telling me like she told me she lets her kid play Minecraft because her kid's quite young, and I mean, Minecraft's okay for any age, but she's like, yeah, Minecraft's about killing zombies and all that, and I look at that and I don't see anything wrong with it. He's not killing humans, he's killing zombies. Zombies are bad, you need to kill them, so I'm not teaching him anything bad by letting him play Minecraft.
Yeah, I mean, that's like super wholesome games.
Exactly.
As games go. And it's like,
it's like the most wholesome.
Like most people, who play games that aren't like 5 understand the difference between reality and a game.
I would hope so.
But obviously, it's like, you don't want to introduce your kid to like super adult shit before they're ready. It's like the stuff that goes on in like a Grand Theft Auto game gets pretty dark. You know, you got like Trevor torturing some dude.
Oh yeah,
in like a warehouse or whatever.
I need to play
through
that game again. Maybe, that's all I'm thinking of now.
Maybe a 12-year-old or like, you know, probably shouldn't see that. You know,
probably not. Probably not.
Probably not super good. I mean, nowadays, I'm sure most kids are like so desensitized to that shit because you can just go online and watch people die.
Exactly.
So it's like probably not really that graphic in comparison to other stuff, but it's like it's really weird how that stuff gets through, and then like an anime titty game, it's like, oh, we got to censor this. This is just it's corrupting our children. It's like, dude, do you understand the kind of people that buy this? It's fucking me out there on the front lines picking these.
Those are the people you want supporting. That's gonna be your core family. That's gonna be your backbone right there. When everyone else is gone, the people who are buying those games are still gonna support the PlayStation because it has those games.
And it's like, well, now the PC gets them at least like
that's
some point, usually later. So it's like you don't really got to worry about it. And if they are censored, usually the developers are cool and will just be like, hey, go to our website and download the patch to make it the normal game again.
Oh, right, because like Steam normally has the censored versions and then you have to patch them.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I think they've been getting better at having like games uncensored on there, but some stuff is like still they're just like, nah, we won't touch it.
That's good.
Because it's like everything's weird here where it's like violence is cool, but you show an anime titty, it's like we need to stop this. And it's like, well, come on, man. I'm just trying to play Senran Kagura over here for the deep gameplay.
I just picked up my first Senran Kagura game, actually. I got
is it like an
Bon Appetit on the no, it's not the real one. I got Bon Appetit on the Vita. It was a limited run games release, so I decided to pick it up.
That's fair.
Yeah, it looked nice. All right.
I was gonna say, I'm sure that one's like a comfy ass game.
I'm sure.
It's like the normal games are just like total. I mean, it's just like a beat 'em up or whatever you call those ones.
Yeah, I know there was another game that was kind of like that where it was on Switch where you massage all the characters and stuff. And I think it came out in Japan, and then it came to the U.S. eShop. And shout out to Exceed, but he had said he's like
those guys are dope.
Yeah, but he had ended up not Exceed, one person Exceed who follows the channel and all that.
I thought you said Exceed.
No. But shout out to him because I had joked about getting it on Twitter, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna tell you honestly, I picked it up on the Japanese eShop, and it's not really that good. So you just don't get it. It's not that good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those games aren't that great. It just really irks me when they censor that shit, or just like even like if sometimes it feels like self-censorship where they made a Senran Kagura anime, and I remember the first season is rated like PG-13, and I'm like, this just seems like the antithesis of everything that this whole franchise is about. Why is this rated PG-13? Who did this?
Who hurt you?
This game is not supposed to have broad mass appeal. It's supposed to have appealing broads.
Exactly. No, I agree.
It's like it just like doesn't make any sense. I'm like, do you guys not understand who your main audience is? Because it's not. I mean, I'm sure a lot of like 13, 14-year-olds are super into it, but the people who are actually shelling out money for this shit, it's not 13-year-old kids.
That's true.
Like you want to sell some goddamn games, just give the people what they want. Like I don't know. And the Japanese people tend to do that, and then they bring it over here and it's like, oh, we need to censor this. This doesn't align with our Western values. It's like, it's because it's not a Western game. Like, yeah, you know, it's like Pokemon changing rice balls into donuts all over again. Nothing better than a jelly-filled donut.
Oh my god. Some things we just don't have to adapt, all right?
Exactly. It's like, come on, you give the people some credit. Like, I'm sure people know what a rice ball is.
I remember one thing, and I was thinking of this because this is something that was a bit near and dear to me, because I did play through Persona 4 Gold and very much enjoyed it, but I can't think of the name. I think it starts with a K. Do you know the... is it a kamatsu? I'm not sure. It's pretty much like those things that might be like in a Japanese household, and it's kind of this table. It's either a
kotatsu.
Kotatsu. That's it. That was something very specific to Japan, and it's a type of furry table type thing almost, you could say. I think it warms you up too. I'm pretty sure.
It's got like a little heater underneath.
Correct. That's it. So I know that was one thing where I think I saw a video on this, but in Persona 4 Golden, they have a mention of that. At one point, the kotatsu ends up breaking, so the family has to go out and get a new one, and then they're all excited, and all is well, and then it goes on to the next day. And that worked all well and good in Japan, but then when they localized it, they're just like, shit, nobody outside Japan knows what the hell this is. So then it became a challenge. It's like, well, we can change it to something else. Well, wait a minute. Why should we change it? Why don't we just provide context to it so we end up using this as a learning experience and we can teach people outside of Japan what the hell a kotatsu is? And I got to learn about that through playing the game. And that's good localization right there, in my opinion. They didn't have to sacrifice or change any of the stuff that makes it Japanese, but they just added context to it so it made sense to people like me who'd never heard of it.
Yeah, the surprisingly the localization in Persona 3, 4, and 5 is like really good.
I
like
believe
Atlas USA does like a, well, I imagine probably because they're owned by Atlas, kind of gives them easier access to like, well, what did you actually mean here?
Right.
Whereas like, they're actually the same company. Whereas you get like other companies where it's like just some guys who like aren't really associated with the main company, and then it's like, well, in our understanding of Japanese, this is what this means, and then it's like, well, sort of works, but sounds kind of weird and awkward.
Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between, like, in my opinion, a bad localization, a proper localization. A bad one is just going to be a straight translation, no context. But a good one would be like that example in Persona 4, where we don't have to change the core of the game, and something that is really local to the area in the game itself and a part of Japanese culture. We're going to keep this in here, we're going to translate it, but we're also going to provide the proper context so that people who don't know about this are aware of it.
Yeah, I've actually, like, through a few decent translations, like, you end up learning just like little bits and pieces of Japanese culture. It's like, oh, that's what that means.
That's
I
great.
get it. And it's like, instead of just like, well, this word doesn't translate, so we're just gonna like throw in like a fucking 2-paragraph translator's note trying to explain what the hell's going on here. Instead, it's like, well, we can actually, actually just have this happen in the story, and then not only does the same scene play out, but people learn what the fuck we're talking about.
Exactly.
Everyone, gets a little smarter. Yeah, no, I am a big fan of good localization, but there's a lot of just bad localization that kind of really irks me a little bit. Like, I don't know enough about Japanese to like translate it, but I feel like the way a lot of people localize stuff, I'm just like, it's either it's a lot of the time like way too literal, where it's like, dude, you can just swap that out with something that sounds like more natural.
Yeah.
That means the same thing over here. Like,
oh man.
although the weirdest one is like they do this in Persona, and it's just so weird when they include like the like honorifics, and they're all speaking English, but then at the end of someone's name they'll like call them senpai or whatever. It's just like, oh, there's really nothing you could do there, huh?
I don't mind that.
Like I get it. There's nothing you could do. It just seems so weird when everything else is in English. It's just like there's really no win condition. Because it's either you translate it and it sounds even worse, or you just kind of leave it and everyone knows what it's like. I get it,
yeah,
but it's still just like, it's actually not so bad in Persona, but I've seen some like anime dubs where they do that, and it's like,
and it's bad.
Yeah, it's better when you guys just don't do that. Just leave that out.
Oh man,
it's like, you really don't have to. We don't say that here. Oh.
But we do.
Yeah, well, that's life, It's tough out there.
True.
I can't imagine like doing that shit as a job, because like
it must be difficult. But
no matter what you
important.
do, someone's gonna complain. I imagine.
Yeah.
It's like someone out there and be like,
yeah.
well, it's shit because it's in English. It's like, well, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Put all this goddamn work in.
I do have one other thing I want to touch up on, and then we can wrap this up here. But this is one thing I like to ask at the end. We've been talking about all these games here, and they're kind of almost flirting around the topic. But I want to ask you, what games are you currently playing right now?
Oh, right now, actually, I've been getting kind of obsessively into this game called Kenshi.
I have not heard of it.
Okay, it's on Steam. But it's like, it wasn't early access for like ever, I guess, but it recently came out not that long ago, and it's just like kind of just like a super open-ended like sandbox, and you can kind of just do whatever you want. Like you pick like a bunch of different starts, but basically you just start as some like nameless dude. You just kind of suck at everything. And you know, there's a bunch of different ways to play. Like you can literally just like wander around town to town, like being a trader and never fighting, or you can go like full, just like try and just be the best fighter in the whole game, I guess. But like you can recruit more people into your squad, and as you get more people, it goes from being like an RPG to like almost an RTS, where you've got like a home base where a bunch of dudes are just like automated working shit, like just generating you money while you're controlling just like massive groups of people. It's hard to describe because you can literally just do anything.
I mean, that last part, I was thinking of like the 3D Grand Theft Autos where you take over gang territories and all that, and you're generating money.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like right now, I got a little settlement set up. We're growing a bunch of crops. I'm making alcohol, just making bank, and it's like, I don't know. There's just like tons of different factions, and it's like there's no indefinite story or whatever. But if you just interact with like different factions or whatever, you can kind of just do like what you. Like the world literally lets you do whatever you want. Like I got attacked by this one faction, so I captured a couple of their guys and fed them to cannibals. Like you can just do like anything. It's pretty ridiculous.
Jeebus, that's crazy.
Yeah, or I got attacked by these guys who wanted to turn me into slaves, so I beat the shit out of them and made them slaves. Like took them to a slave trader and sold them. Like it's pretty.
How did you find out about this game?
I watched some dude's video.
This sounds so crazy. Is it on PC or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like full PC. It's
Steam?
It's like yes.
Okay, cool.
But it's a very cool game. Like it's really easy.
Holy
to just
shit!
get
Link
sucked
that
in
to me
for,
after
like,
the
hours.
show. I wanna I'm just so interested in this now. My God.
Yeah, no, it's pretty intense. Like the amount of stuff you can do. Like there's this, and like all the factions. Like if you take out a faction, like the world's kind of reactive. Like there are mods to make it even more so. But like the other powers in the area will kind of like fill in the power vacuum that you create. And like there are consequences, so if you take out a certain faction, another faction might get really big and just like out of control, and then you got to take care of them. So it's like just in the fact that you can basically just create your own narrative of what you want to do. It's pretty sick.
That's awesome.
It's the kind of game, like I do like games with just like a set story. Like those are, as long as it's a good story, it's fun. But a game where it's just like the mechanics are all pretty sound. I mean, there's a lot of glitches. It's a bit jank, but it's like there's a good game in there. So it's like I could just sit and just like play that for hours and hours because there's just so much to do. Like currently, I'm trying to get all my squad jacked up so we can just have roving death squads to go take out these like cannibals that are all around. Because they keep attacking every once in a while, and it's just making me real frustrated. So I'm like, we got to get jacked, and I'm just gonna go around with roving squads and just eviscerate them all.
Right on.
It's definitely an interesting game.
I haven't heard
a
about
big
anything
fan.
like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I honestly am kind of surprised at just how much you can do. Like it's a super ambitious game.
My problem is I don't really get into those games, unfortunately, because I'm very much a person where I need a goal of some kind, and those like completely open-ended ones, I'm like, these just do not work for me for what I need to do.
It's very, very brutal at the start, like to get anything done. Like
it is literally Dark Souls.
I
hate that comparison, by the way.
No,
I hate that every single game is compared to Dark Souls, and I hate it.
Oh, it's as hard as it's like. Yeah, Dark Souls isn't actually that hard.
It's literally Japanese Dark Souls.
Yeah, but I remember like the first thing that happened to me in that game. I like walked outside of a town, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna walk to this way on the road, and hopefully I'll end up in another town. And like some homeless looking dude started attacking me, and it was one guy. So I was like, well, I could probably take him. I'm one guy. He's one guy. We're both wearing rags and have sticks. It was a fair fight. I got my ass kicked. And while I was knocked out, some dudes came by and they're like, yeah, you're a slave now. So I became a slave within my first like hour of playing.
Damn.
And then had to escape. It's like, and you can like lose limbs and shit, and if your arm gets cut off, you've literally got to go to a store and buy a new arm, like a prosthetic robot arm to stick on. Like it's
This just sounds so like. Is this a 3D game at all?
yeah, it's totally
Damn.
3D. It's
All right.
it plays a little weird. Like it doesn't like you don't I don't know, you don't play like you click around to move your guys like I said, when you get a shitload of people, it's like an RTS where you just like select a bunch of units and move them places to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you are controlling just one person, like you can do. It almost plays a little bit like RuneScape, where you can do some like crazy micromanagement and like
Oh man, see for me,
manually dodge
RuneScape I never
attacks.
got into. That's another one of those games you need like.
Yeah.
I just don't do the open-ended thing, man.
Nah, see, it's a little bit.
Shit like this just sounds
shitty.
so cool, but I know I won't get
It's a
into
lot
it.
of investment.
I know.
It definitely
I
is
know.
like a massive investment because like to get anything done, you've just got to build your way up. Like I actually had like the most heartbreaking thing happen because I was like just going around wandering because you kind of have to at some point to unlock the later like research technology stuff. You got to go like plunder old ruins and find books and shit. So if you don't do that, you just kind of can't progress. So while I was doing that, I like went away from my base for a while. And there's like since I'm really close to like a major settlement or whatever the game just has, it's like if someone comes and attacks my base, if I can't beat them, I can just take everyone and make them run into this town that's really close, and they're basically like they won't die, so it's not so bad.
Right on.
And all the people that come to raid me, they just want to kill my guys, so they don't steal anything from me. So it's like there's literally no point in sticking around if I can't beat them.
Mm-hmm.
But I did that, but I guess I left my guys out of the town for too long that I had built, and when I got back with all my dudes, after getting all this like research and stuff, my entire like the game glitched or something, and my whole settlement was just gone. Like it just didn't remember any of my buildings because I didn't leave anyone there, and I was like,
That's
so
not
disheartened for a bit.
cool.
But in like a span of a couple hours, I just totally rebuilt everything, and since I didn't know what I was doing at first, my first town kind of sucked, and there wasn't a lot of space. So I just made it like way more efficient, and now I'm just like doing so much better, and it's like, oh, it feels good, man.
Right on.
Felt good to like finally get back, and I was like, okay, I'm no longer poor again. We have walls, but it's like, oh, it was so like after all that work too, because like the world map is like it's huge. It takes forever to walk across the thing, and I had sent my dudes like literally walking like around the whole thing more or less.
Right on.
And, like by the time I get back, it's like, oh sweet, I gotta start from scratch. Okay.
That kind of reminds me of when I tried to drive from one end of the map in LA Noire to the other, and it's just so painfully accurate on top of the cars being slow because it's accurate. Dude, it's fucking huge, man. I didn't make it. I got like halfway. I spent like 40 minutes driving, got halfway across the city. I'm like, nope, I'm done.
Oh yeah, that's isn't there some game like Fuel that has an insanely huge map as well?
I don't
takes,
know.
like, hours and hours to drive across.
I don't know about Fuel. I can't attest to that, but LA Noire is amazingly and painfully accurate to old style LA.
Well, at least
need
it
to play
doesn't
through
have
that
like
again.
new style LA traffic.
Yeah,
That'd make it even worse.
That's true. Yeah, so it might have actually been even better on LA Noire. Man.
Yeah, no, like some stuff like that. It's like it's like super ambitious, but at the same time, it's like you're never gonna see like literally everything in a game world that size.
No, you can't.
But that also makes it pretty sweet because then it's like when you play through again, it's like, oh, is this whole thing's going on over here I didn't even know about.
Exactly.
So it's like, I don't know.
That's a nice thing
Yeah.
with exploring like the Grand Theft Auto games and all that, just like finding organic stuff like that or little secrets.
Yeah, I can see why you don't play too many super open-ended games because yeah, it's just a massive time sink, and if you don't, especially a game like Kenshi, like this startup is so brutally punishing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you literally can't fight anyone.
I
for
love
first,
the
like,
idea of this. I know I wouldn't enjoy playing it.
It's like it sounds really awesome in idea, but in practice, it's like if you can't handle like just the sheer crushing difficulty at the start, it's like still, even now, if like my best guys are out roaming around, 99% of encounters I just have to run because if I don't, I will get killed.
Oh man.
It's like even some of the weaker enemies, like you run into cannibals or whatever, and they have no armor and pretty shitty weapons, but there's like 50 of them.
And they're
it's
cannibals, and you're human, you're
Yeah.
food.
Exactly. And it's like even if I could one-on-one fight these guys, it's like there's so many. They'll just gang up on my guys, knock them all out, take them back to base, and eat our skin.
You need to get someone who looks at people the way Lily looks at bunnies. She thinks they're food, because technically they are food. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe if I get super far, I'll just install a mod that lets you team up with the cannibals, join the cannibal faction.
Do that shit.
Start eating people myself. You can't beat them, join them, right?
Exactly. So that's been your big game you've been playing?
Yeah, no, it's like consumed like the last like month at least, where like every day after work I come home and play for like 7-8 hours sometimes. It's pretty bad.
So that's where you're talking about, hey, I'm only gonna survive on 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah, like whenever we started, or I guess whenever I woke up, or maybe a bit after that. I don't know.
That was like 4:30 my time, something like that.
Yeah, I think around 6 your time is sometimes when I go to sleep.
Okay.
That's like my cutoff.
Wait, 6
for the
a.m.
very
saying,
latest. No, 6 p.m. your time.
Okay,
so that's like 4 for me.
Okay, gotcha.
So I sleep from like 4 to 9, and that's not good. Definitely not healthy, but the game is just so good, and there's so much stuff I want to do. I'm just like, I gotta get good.
Hey, man, I like to burn the candle at both ends as well, and then I get sick and then miserable, and then I have to sleep. So it happens.
Yeah. Luckily, I was sick not that long ago, so it should be a while before I'm sick again. Usually, like once a year.
Oh man.
So
yeah, I didn't get, amazingly enough, I did not get sick at all in 2018, but aside from like an odd like stomach thing here and there, but I didn't get a cold or flu. Right at the beginning of 2019 though, literally January 1st, January 2nd, got sick. So yeah, that was nice.
I mean, you got a clean year.
Yeah, that's true. I had one clean year, which I was very happy about.
Honestly, that's pretty rare to not even get like a cold.
Yeah, and because I generally get sick once or twice a year, except the anomaly was, of course, last year I didn't get sick, and then my first year of college, for a bit I was getting sick almost every month because nobody knew how the fuck to wash their hands.
Oh yeah, and I mean like, I don't know how bad it is there, but there's like a cold and flu season every year.
Yeah.
It's like just once a year, like everyone starts getting sick, and it's like most of the time I just totally miss out on that, and then like a month or two later I'm just like sick for no reason. But yeah, last time I was sick was actually really bad. I had like a fever for like a bunch of days, and I didn't even realize it, and like I took an extra day off work.
You probably just like didn't really feel it all that much. I've had that before.
I didn't notice it, but then I went to work, and as soon as I fucking walked in the door to work, I was like, I shouldn't be here. I just felt so horrible, and it's like the whole night was just some like fucked up fever dream where I didn't really know what was going on. I was just like sweaty, and then like as soon as I went home, like an hour after I got home, my fever broke. I was fine.
Nice. Yeah,
that was like the worst night ever, but yeah, now I'm fine.
I do remember the worst flu I had in college. I had a real like not a super dangerous, but I had a high fever. And I didn't realize it, but I went to the doctor. They said I had a fever. They gave me a bunch of medicine and all that. And I remember the moment my fever broke because I took that, like, I shouldn't have been driving, but I was driving around. I was doing shopping, doing all my stuff because I live by myself. And then I took the medicine, and maybe 30 minutes, an hour later, all of a sudden, like, the hazy feeling I was in just kind of lifted. And I hadn't been sweating really all that much, but all of a sudden I just got drenched in a pool of sweat. Like I was at this stage where I wasn't sweating, but I wasn't hot, but I wasn't cold either. But I was just kind of like in this kind of hazy mode.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of uncomfortable, but when you start just like sweating it out like that, it's actually super relieving.
Yeah,
you just kind of like.
So apparently I've never done this. I need to do this the next time I have a fever, but I'd heard about this from the H3H3 podcast. Apparently what you're supposed to do to break a fever, because, you know, the feeling you want to do, you want to get into a hot shower for like an hour and then just get under 10 blankets. But that's actually not what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do if you want to focus on breaking the fever is cold shower. Don't do hot shower, do a cold shower. So you bring your body temperature down, and then lay in bed and just rest, and either wear minimal clothing or no clothing. And then if you use a sheet, use a very light sheet, because what you're doing is you're going to be cold and uncomfortable, but you have to do that to force your body's temperature down enough of a deviance from your actual fever to the point where your fever will break and you'll just start sweating everything out. And that's how you're supposed to break a fever.
See, like, that makes sense, but also, like, the whole reason you have a fever and the reason your body gets hot is to kill the sick stuff inside you.
Right,
so
right.
That seems like that's effective if you, like, just have a fever and your sickness is basically gone, but you just want to get rid of the fever.
The thing is, though, Tanner, the reason why that's mentioned is because if you get into the shower, you get a real hot shower going, and then you bundle up a whole ton, your body is hot because it's trying to fight, but you're essentially overheating your body, and then you don't want your fever to get too high. Because all you're doing at that point, if you're just piling on clothes and you're in a hot shower and all this stuff, you're just making your body temperature go up. And it's not because it's fighting, it's because you're trying to get to a comfortable point and you're forcing your body temperature to rise to match your fever.
See, my thought process on it was to just burn out the sickness, so that's why I would, like, bundle up.
Right,
and just,
right.
like I would wrap myself up on my blankets in a way so that I would generate, like, maximum heat. Like, to the point where I was uncomfortable, like, sweating in my bed, but I was like, just burn it out. But, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, that's... Yeah. You don't want to get too hot because that, like, messes up your brain.
Yeah, and that's why doctors will give you, you know, medicine and all that to break your fever, or you take medicine explicitly to break your fever.
Yeah, it's making a lot of sense. It's like, oh, yeah, maybe just trying to, like, overheat myself isn't good.
Yeah. You don't want to do that. I mean,
it's like... if you just think about it on the surface, it makes sense, though. It's like, well, my body gets hot to fight cold, so if I make it more hot, then it'll go away faster.
But
right?
if your temperature gets up to like 105 or something, I mean, you can cause brain damage.
I fucking hope so. That's what I'm aiming for, man. Get me out of here. If I could just lose enough smarts so I'm not, like, self-aware and I don't think about things, that'd be great.
The dream for everyone.
Yeah, like, if I could just live the current life I am now, but just be blissfully ignorant, like, dude, I'd be living the dream. It's like, that's the only thing separating people from true happiness is just, like, that bit of self-awareness. If you just, like, totally
once you stop giving a fuck, I mean, it's easy.
Yeah, but, like, most normal people, like, I don't know about you, but, like, I can't just turn that off, you know?
I understand that.
I feel guilty about it.
No, I understand.
Like, I am aware, so I have to be, you know, cognizant. But it's like, if you just didn't have that, there's no guilt because you don't know what the fuck's going on.
Exactly.
Every day's a brand new adventure. You wake up, the sun's shining, and you're just like, what a great day here on planet Earth. You go outside and fucking go for a walk. Everything's beautiful. You go to work, you can work literally anywhere, and it's great because you're like, well, I got a job, and the people here are nice, and I get to buy food.
And like, food's all I need. But let me, hey, Tan, I'm going to interrupt you here. Let me get to the games I've been playing. I have a few more.
What have you been doing?
Yeah.
I haven't talked to you in a bit here.
Yeah, so I finally finished Diablo 3 on Switch. Shout out to Devin, otherwise known as Paranoid Coder, who got me that as a Christmas present. He accidentally got me that because I asked for Doom, and he got that confused with Diablo, but it worked out because I actually wanted Diablo more than Doom. I asked for the wrong present in the end. But
well, hey, it all worked out.
Yeah, no, but I very much enjoyed Diablo 3, so that's, you know, playing through it again. I played through it on PC, played through it on PS4, played through it on Switch now. And the thing is with Diablo, it's like you don't play the game just to beat it once. You're supposed to go through it a bunch of times. That's what it is. There's no true multiplayer component, but
and there's co-op, isn't there?
There's co-op, but not, you know, a true multiplayer.
Yeah, you're not going against other people.
Exactly. But, yeah, no, I finished that. I ended up finishing Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. And, Tanner, do you know anything about the No More Heroes series?
No, I don't think I've even heard of that.
I mean, it came out on Wii. It's, you know, one of the few mature games on the Wii. There was 2 of them, and then the first one ended up getting remade for PS3 and 360 without the motion controls and stuff. And it's a cool series. I definitely recommend checking it out. So they end up making this kind of interlude where it's not No More Heroes 3, but it's somewhere in the timeline. And I feel like I did my part, all right? I picked up the game. It's discount. It's like $30, or you can pay $40 to get the physical version that has the season pass. And then I end up, with discounts and all, I got it for like $21 physical. So I picked it up. And the main thing is, I feel like I did my part because I'd like to see No More Heroes come to Switch. And apparently they're judging the sales of this. And if this sells well enough, then No More Heroes 3 will come. If it doesn't sell well, No More Heroes 3 is not going to happen. So this is kind of the bullet you have to bite. But it's not that good of a game. Like, it's very much, I mean, it's very meta. It breaks the fourth wall a ton. But the implementation of it is you play as Travis Touchdown, and I didn't even really pay that much attention to the story. The delivery is just not that good on it. But you have this console called the Death Drive Mark II, and there's like 7 or 8 games that you play through, and then you're meeting the creator at the end, and you're trying to get him out of there. But each of these games plays about the same. It's just a top-down type game where you're attacking enemies and stuff. It's really repetitive. The combat's not the best. And Tanner, the absolute worst thing is between all these games, you have to get onto your motorcycle, and there's these sequences where you're going on this adventure, and it's all green and black, and it's text-based, and you have to read text for anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes.
Okay, that's pretty rough.
And it is trying to be so self-aware and so just ironic and meta and funny. And even the first one took me like 15 minutes to read. And the second one, it was aware of itself enough where like 3 minutes in, you know, the dialogue is just like, hey, well, no one's reading this, so let's just finish this. It's something like that. But even one of the other ones, I just tried it. Like near the end, I was just slamming through it, just pressing the A button to get through it. On one of them, just with me slamming the A button, it took me like 6 or 7 minutes to get through this entire piece of dialogue.
Oh, yeah, stuff like that. It's like, it's one thing if it's voiced and you just got to listen to someone for a bit. It's like, at least, you know, you're just listening. But especially like a newer game like that, it's like, I've played like Morrowind a little bit, and you go talk to someone, you get like a huge paragraph. It's kind of disheartening because you got to read it all. But like in a newer game, it's like you kind of expect better nowadays, where it's like a wall of text is just like, and it's kind of unacceptable. It's like everyone can read, but like, dude, I don't want to sit there and read the grimoire cards in your game.
And here's the thing, nice Destiny. But here's the thing, when it comes down to like, for example, do you know about Xenogears? Did you ever play through that, or do you know anything about it?
I've heard of Xenogears.
So
didn't play it.
It's apparently it's a 2-disc game on the PlayStation. I've never played through it 100%, so I didn't get to this point. But apparently, when it was in development, the story is great on there, and it's supposed to be great from start to finish. But they didn't really know how to develop a 3D game at the time, and they were just kind of under crunch and all that stuff. So disc 1 is supposed to be just excellent. Like, you play through the game, it's like, yes, this is awesome. This is everything a JRPG on the PS1 is supposed to be. The second disc, though, the story is better, but the gameplay isn't, because essentially it becomes a wall of text where it tells you what's going on, and there's music in the background, and then there's a boss fight, and then it tells you what happens next, and then there's a boss fight, and then it tells you what happens next, and there's a boss fight. And they did that because they wanted to tell the full story in the game, but they didn't have enough time to develop the rest of it. And you can tell because there's like background images and everything is there, but you don't actually play through the game, so to speak. You're just really battling the bosses and doing other little things. It sounds similar to it. The difference is Xenogears actually kept you going, from what I understood, while as Travis Strikes Again, this game, I just wanted to get through it near the end, and it was painful to get through near the end, but I finished it. The credits rolled. I took the cartridge out. I popped it in the case. I'm done with it. I played through it. It wasn't that good of a game, but I supported the developers. I paid for it. No More Heroes 3, please happen. That's what I'm waiting for on that, but it's not that good.
Yeah, that's a little bit disappointing, especially from like a developer who's like you want to support, and it's just like that's not that good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and there's parts where it shines, like the different games, the 7 or 8 games that you play in there. Like there's one where, for example, it is really reminiscent of like a PS1 horror game almost. I was like, oh, this is great. No, god damn it, it's the same thing. We're just fighting enemies from a top-down perspective. They could have just done so much more. There's one game where it's like a super... You're doing all the fighting and stuff, and there's little sections where you have to drive your motorcycle and beat this other one in a race. You would think they would design the whole game around racing. No, they don't. They only dedicate a few parts to it, and it's not even that good. So very poor implementation across the board of so many things.
Yeah, that's not super great. And I imagine that like text-based thing in between or whatever was
it was
probably
horrible.
Like, I imagine that's something that in theory sounded really cool, and it's like, oh, it harkens back to like old text-based adventure games, and people get a kick out of this, but it's like, you know why people don't usually play old text-based adventure games anymore? So there's a reason.
The problem is this was just so out of place too, where it's this action-packed game, and it's essentially you're driving 60 miles per hour on a 60-mile-per-hour speed limit highway, and then when you hit these, you're just driving at 5 miles per hour for 20 minutes at a time. That's how it feels.
It's like one thing if you expect that from a game from the get-go. Like you start up a JRPG or something, and obviously there's just going to be walls of text.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it happens. So like that Xenogears game, it's like, yeah, you get to the second half, I imagine that's probably pretty lackluster compared to the first.
But the thing is, apparently the story, like the story is what kept you going, because that's what everyone insists on. It's like, no, the story was better on disc 2, but the action and implementation was better on disc 1.
Yeah, it sounds like the first disc was like, this is what the game's supposed to be like. The second one's like, we didn't have time to finish it all.
That's exactly what happened. We got this
great visual novel and boss fights for it.
That is exactly what's happened, what was explained.
And it's like, you know, in that instance, at least they have a reason for doing it that way. It's not like, well, we just kind of stylistically wanted to do this. It's like, well, we didn't have enough time, all right?
Yeah.
It's like a CD can only hold so much stuff. Like, we're working on PS1 technology. What do you want from us?
And also they're like, oh, we kind of blew our load on the first disc, and we still have another disc of story to tell.
Yeah, I'm sure once they got through halfway, it's like, oh, we still gotta code that, huh?
Exactly. But yeah, the other game, I mean, I guess I can add this in. I'm still playing Kingdom Hearts. I'm playing the first one right now. Thanks to PS4 Remote Play, I've chipped away a little bit more at that. That'll probably take me a bit to get through. But the final game, I just started this last night, and on a completely opposite note from what I just explained, have you played, or I guess no, you don't have it, but have you heard of Golf Story?
I have heard of Golf Story.
Oh man, dude, it is. I guess the best way to explain it is so charming. It is just relaxing, fun to play. It is a golfing RPG, and it's just so charming and such a treat to play through. And oh my goodness, I feel like I'm like, what? I'm cleansing myself now after playing through Travis Strikes Again, because I picked this up physically thanks to limited run games, and I was able to just pop that in my Switch, start playing, and oh my goodness, it just makes you smile, and it's so enjoyable to play through. And even if you don't give a shit about golf, it's so fun to play through, man.
No, I'm with you on that. Sometimes you need a good palate cleanser like that, like something just light and fun. And
exactly.
Just maybe a little goofy, just like, this is a comfy game. Sit down, play some Golf Story. Like a golf RPG. It sounds kind of ridiculous on the face of it, but it's like, that does sound like it'd be like just a super chill game to play.
My girlfriend thought it was ridiculous because her description was, no, it's golf, and she's just not interested in golf. I'm like, no, it's supposed to be really good. And like, I'm playing it, I'm like, no, I fucking love this game so far. This is great. So far, I can recommend Golf Story if you have a Switch.
Oh. Yeah, I've been meaning to get one at some point, actually.
I'm just going to keep linking them to you. I know we talked about this because you're looking for one kind of at a discount, and I'm just like, every time I find one for a good deal, I just link it to you.
I was going to get one, but I had to buy a new phone, so
That's important.
Yeah, I kind of sucked. The one day my phone just stopped working, and it just never turned on ever again. That was kind of a bummer.
Oh, you gotta love it when that happens.
Yeah, it was like plugged in and everything. I think the battery must have just like totally ate it because it was doing some weird stuff where it would be at like 25% and just like shut off. It's like, oh, low power. And then you turn it back on. It's like, yeah, it's actually fine. I was lying before.
Right, right.
So I imagine the battery just shorted up, but it was such a bummer, dude.
I believe it. I believe that. Man, not cool. Anyways, with that heavy-hearted note with the phone, I'd like to go ahead and wrap this up here, man, because it's been like 2.5 hours. I'm definitely kind of tapping out on my end. I want to get these damn headphones off. I'm going to be honest, but
oh yeah, well, your ears starting to hurt.
Yeah, because I'm not wearing comfortable headphones right now.
Oh, you gotta get those ergonomic headphones.
I should. I don't. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. I don't want to sit here and complain. If y'all made it to the end, you're listening. Thank you so much for this, Tanner. Where the hell can people find you? And if you want to plug anything, I'll be more than happy to put it down below in the YouTube description for this video once it goes live on my channel.
I guess if you wanna follow, I don't tweet very often, but you can find me on there at Pajama Peter. I guess YouTube, Zoltan Squid would be where I'd upload pretty much anything now. And then Pyama on SoundCloud. I believe the SoundCloud link is soundcloud.com/literalbagoftrash.
That is it. That's it.
Okay. So yeah, you can find me there. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You can send me AIM message.
Oh man, that's dead, man.
Oh, rip.
It's dead.
You can link my IRC in the description.
That's still around, or your ICQ number. Man. But yeah,
those are the major ones.
Right on. I'll plug all those, and those are actually the 3 that I was going to plug anyway. So those will all be linked down below in the description if you want to follow him on Twitter, check out the anime stuff that he did on YouTube, or of course listen to his music without me talking over it. And you know what, Tanner, thank you for all thank you for making all the awesome music. I know you don't design any of it for the channel, but I know you've always been gracious of just like let me use whatever the hell, and hopefully it's helped you out a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely appreciate it. I mean, I feel like probably no one would even know I make music if you didn't put it in your videos, because like, I mean, it doesn't get tons of plays, but whenever you put a song in your videos, that obviously it's just like, oh yeah, people come back and actually listen to this. That's cool.
It's good shit.
I always appreciate it.
That's why I use it, and I take care of Tanner too. Like the past few years, you know, I send a few $100 his way, just kind of as a hey, Merry Christmas and thank you for doing this, and then it works out because it's like I send a few hundred Canadian, so it's like $8 US.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it goes a long way over here. Obviously, I'm not making music for money. I just do it for fun. So like, honestly, even just putting in your videos, it's a big boost for me. So
right. Well, I'm happy to give you that big boost, man. I've known you for like 11 years now. You said 2008 with the Rock Band controller.
Yeah, man. It's been we out here.
We out here truly.
We've come a long way from annoying you with Rock Band drums to, you know, now I make music and it doesn't annoy you.
Hell yeah.
Like, we've leveled up.
Man, it all started off with music. Can you believe that?
If you want to call it that. I remember that app on Xbox, actually. It's like just like a drum pad.
I remember that. Yeah, it was in
play music.
It was in the indie arcade.
Yeah, and I would just like play music that was saved on my hard drive and then play along to it. It's horrible. I can see how that'd be like the most annoying thing in the world. Honestly, I'm sorry I did that.
Dude, no, it's all good. That's how we got to meet each other, man. It's how we got to meet.
Sometimes a bad first impression can go a long way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I said you can never change a first impression, but you can definitely change how someone perceives you and how someone treats you, how someone looks at you. Yeah,
exactly.
But
I'm
at first,
sure it was memorable.
Yeah,
like, hey,
it was
that annoying asshole.
It was, but it's something that we can sit here and laugh about, which is great. Oh man.
Yeah. I don't know what I was gonna say. I lost it there.
Anyways, I'll go ahead and intro us out. Everyone, thank you all so much for listening to and watching this very long episode of Mario's Minute. Again, if you're wanting to watch this at all, or you're wanting to comment on it or anything, please, check me out on YouTube, Mr. Mario 2011. It's uploaded there in video form. If you are checking out the video and you want this in audio form, check out Mario's Minute on most favorite podcasting apps and platforms. I know we're on Podbean, iTunes, whatever the hell Google's using, Spotify, several others that feed into those as well. So, like, for example, I use Pocket Casts. I can find it on there. Works out well enough.
I use the same one.
It's great. Now, Tanner,
That's
this is one thing I do at the very end of these episodes. I like to use a keyword to see who the hell made it to the end. So we're going to pick a keyword. And if you use this keyword, please use it in your comment on the video upload, and we'll know that you made it to the end. But Tanner, what word should we use as a keyword?
That is a great question. I don't know. Do you have what do you normally use? Like what was your last one?
I don't remember what the last one was, man.
Oh,
I remember the one. I remember the one MVG and I used was Excelsior.
Okay. Well, I guess keeping with the squid theme, we could make it like inked or something.
Okay.
Something squid related.
All right. So how about inked? If you use the word inked in your comment, if you're listening to this, please use the word inked in your comment anywhere on the YouTube page and like on the YouTube video, and we'll know you made it to the end. If you're watching this, of course, please talk about, the time you got inked by a squid or whatever have you, or maybe you got inked in Splatoon. I don't know.
And don't comment anything mean, or my mom will call the internet police. She'll get you.
She'll call the entire internet?
No, the internet police.
See, you cut out right at the end. It just said she'll call the internet, and I was like, damn, she's gonna call the entire internet.
Yeah, she'll get it shut down.
It's not that bad though. Your mother's a very nice, kind woman.
Oh yeah, exactly. But she will defend her own with everything she's got. So
oh yeah, I'm like be careful. I'm like a son to her.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you know what? I was guess what? Out the three brothers, I was the one who was going to be at the ceremony. I was. I guess. Okay. She said I was in the family. Out of the four brothers, I was the one who was not going to be out there. There was one who was out.
You're probably. I don't know what I'm saying, but probably the favorite. So
I guess I don't know. Man.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on here.
Well, thank you, man. It was definitely fun. I'm glad I finally had you on. I've been like you were. I assembled a list of people I want to invite to this, like right as I started it over a year ago, and you were on there. So I've been meaning to ask you for a while.
Well, it was good, and I hopefully don't sound as dead fish as I did last time. I've livened up.
No, you don't. You don't. Thankfully,
filled with the spirit of life today.
Dead fished. I like that. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching and listening, everyone. Until next month.